The reflection tells a story of a pirate's life for glory. Trust your eyes. The mirror never lies. Hey, yo! Yeah! Ari got me a blade! Hey, yo! Check it out! Atrioc Reacts. Now I can make it a big time. I can be a fencer. I can get the Olympics. I can slay a beast. Please, this chat is going mad. If anybody does have a monster you need me to slay, hit me up. Is it real? Yeah, it's 100% real. Barely thinking! Thank you for the 8 months. Thank God it's Get Smarter Saturdays. My brain was getting so smooth. We'll wrinkle it up today, folks. We will wrinkle the hell out of your shriveled craniums. Let's go. What's going on? Everybody, good to see you. Warden here. Leaf Hill. Ya Yeet. Signified River. Futo Hell. Eske. Cream Pie Wizard is a terrible name, but hello. Hello. Have you released the rule set for the video downloading tournament? I have no idea what that is. What's up, Woke Diet Mountain Dew? It's a very recent and relevant name. You should watch the Danny Gonzalez video about tech stuff. Danny Gonzalez video about tech stuff. Tech product. It's so long. 56 minutes? Maybe. Usually we have a rule for Get Smarter Saturdays that they don't be too long. You know, that's the fucking vibe. I'm far too plugged into the Veep stakes. You got to pick Tim Walls. Tim Walls is going to be the VP. That's my pick. Calling here. Put it live. Put a bet on it. Go to Polymarket. Put a bet on it. What is the Polymarket bet at? It's going to be Obama. Wow, it has 66% on Shapiro. Maybe I'm dead wrong. Obama. A different guy. Just a different guy named Obama is the VP out of nowhere. Nobody predicted it. She just gets somebody who kind of sounds like Obama to see if they can trick someone on the ticket. When you're looking at your ballot, it just says Harris Obama. And you're like, probably. That would be genius. If Obama legally changes his name, he can run again. They never thought about that. I actually don't. You sound like you're so confident that I don't want to disagree with you, but that doesn't sound true to me. That sounds actually objectively false. Funny stuff today. I went to the North American League Championship Series, the LCS, and I have some bad news. The bad news is North American League of Legends is pretty dead. It's pretty fucking dead. Like, I haven't been to the NALCS in a long time. You know, a number of years at least. And I remember last time I went, you'd go to the studio and there'd be people tailgating outside. There was like all the teams tailgating. The energy was really high. The crowd would be full and everyone would be cheering. I got here this time. There's nobody outside. It's completely dead. I go inside. It's basically empty. Nobody's cheering. The whole first set, nobody even like got loud. Viewership was way down. I don't know. I mean, I obviously knew that NALCS was on a bit of a downswing, and I don't think it's their fault in any way. I think people just play less League of Legends. But I was surprised. Like, I'll just be honest with you, it just shocked me how different the live experience was from the times I went recently. People whine for BO3s and then don't watch when they do it. I don't know if that's the reason, but I'll just be honest. So during game 2, we were there because we have friends who work for both teams. We have a friend who coaches NRG, and we have a friend who coaches Dignitas. And it was NRG versus Dig, and it was like, whoever loses that game might not make it to playoffs. And if you don't make it to playoffs in esports, there's a good chance you could lose your job. So it's like they were both really trying. They were both really interested in fucking winning. And so we wanted to go just cheer, support whoever lost and also be happy for whoever won. And game 1 was pretty fun. Game 2 was such a snoozer that I started to fall asleep. And then the camera turned on me. The camera switched over at the exact moment that I'm fucking yawning. This is on the main LCS stream. I had people DMing me, and then also Travis Gafford tweeted this. He said, really enjoying it, huh, Atrioc? I got caught. That's crazy. Why would they choose? They choose when to switch it, I think they could have cut the sign up. Anyway, I was snoozing. Same shirt? Yeah, it was today. Just tell him it was some other ball guy. Shut the fuck up, dude. So anyway, it was, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people who used to be big North American League of Legends fans. I know it sounds crazy. I bet some of you were those people. You used to watch all the time. You used to care about the stories and the rivalries, and now you just don't. And it feels like that's really true. For some reason, I feel like the vibe was, I wonder what they're going to do. They need League of Legends 2 or something. I don't see how you turn that around. It's not like if they're like 10% funnier on the broadcast or whatever. It wasn't like a problem with the show. It was like nobody cared. $1,000 faker skin? That's what they need. A $1,000 faker skin would fix it right up. Actually, that's what I was thinking when I was watching. I was like, why is there only one cheap ass $500 faker skin? A $1,000 one would do it. And then Faker, of course, fucking hit his head on a wall because he was. I hate how every one of you mentioned it, though. Headbang, Sag, Faker, Sag. They're sure they want to put smash your head on the wall. But you're trying to just force the conversation in, which is whack as fuck. And then also, you don't know anything about it other than one clip you saw. You didn't even watch it live. Whack. Fucking whack. You guys are whack viewers of League of Legends. Anyway, Faker lost a game yesterday that I was watching. He was playing against Genji, and he lost. And he, after losing, he smashed his head. I'll just show you the clip. It's not like he seriously hurt himself, but he here, you can see it right here. So this is after he lost. He just starts hitting his head on the wall. And then his team has to hold him back. Because he's fucking passionate. He's just sad, But what's crazy to me is that Faker has 4 world championships. He's the most accomplished player in League of Legends history. Nobody is ever going to dent his legacy. And he's smashing his head on the wall over a regular season game. That's crazy to me. That's a level of dedication that you can't even imagine. That's what it takes for 4 world championships. Like those Nike commercials? Yeah, I guess. It's something different. I mean, he clearly is seriously upset that they lost that game. And it's like they weren't even favored. They weren't even favored to win that game. It wasn't like it was a big upset. They they lose to Gen G all the time. I don't know. That's wild to me. He had a giant parlay on it. It's crazy that his team had to hold him back because he's like the old guy. He's like the veteran. T1 is on a 9-game loss streak versus Gen G. So that doesn't make sense why he's very upset. That's the opposite. That means you're statistically likely to do it again. People get upset when things don't go the way they plan. But he's just built different. I mean, he literally assumes, I guess, he's going to win every time. What up, Big A? Started the Will of the Money liking so far? Yeah, me too. It's pretty good. I just read my first chapter of the Will of the Many after I napped. I went to the LCS. I came back. I was tired as fuck. Took a nap. Read the Will of the Many, and then yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm so early on, but. This is what I do when I lose a Valorant match. I call it the Atrioc effect because it spams me. After every Valorant match you lose, you smash your head against the wall. That's good. That's healthy. That makes sense. No, that's smart. Atrioc, now that I started watching the streams, I don't really watch the clips VODs anymore on YouTube. Do you make more money from a YouTube click or Twitch ads? How about if I Twitch Prime? I make the most money when you mail me a check for $100,000. So I think that should be your number one goal, is to save up $100,000 in cash and then put it on a check and then mail it direct order to me, deposit. No, just watch. I mean, I appreciate you watching. You watching the content in any possible way. You could make a bootleg channel and watch on that, and I would still be appreciative. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's about this. So yesterday, I got to be honest with you. Yesterday, everyone told me, everyone in chat was unanimous, that I should name the video "Two White Boys with Class Make the Devil Shiver," or whatever fucking insane thing you guys said. It was the deepest 10 out of 10 we've ever had in 3 years. It was the worst performing video in 3 years. Thank God I changed it. It at least pulled it out of a nosedive so we could hit 100K in a day. It was the worst performing title that I've ever had. After 3 hours. That's crazy. That is shot. It was way worse than I thought it would do. Don't you have A/B testing? You can't A/B test titles. You can only A/B test thumbnails, which is kind of fucked up. I don't understand. YouTube, you've given us a good thing. Just make it slightly better. Just give us A/B. Not gonna lie, I got shivers watching that video. Are you the devil? Because the point of the old title was that the devil would get shivers. So why would that? It doesn't mean that the average person gets shivers. Comments in the first day were hyped, though? No. Comments in the first day were terrible because everyone was coming in to make some stupid title joke and then not watching. It was awful. It was fucking awful. Never, ever, ever going to do thumbnail on stream. I have to fucking always just wait. I'll just wait. It's so bad. It ruins the retention. I get terrible suggestions. It was bad. It was bad, 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 bad. But can we get more Yap Fest with stands, though? Of course. I love yapping with stands. Watched it on 0.5 speed. That doesn't... I don't think that helps me. Everyone always says, oh, I watched it on half speed for retention. I don't think you get any more. I don't think YouTube's like, damn, they really like this. I'm pretty sure it just fucking... Atrioc post video sped up to increase retention. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think that only worked very briefly, and like PewDiePie did it, and now you guys all quote it like it's a real thing that still happens. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that's all like a decade old. I like the shaky cam. Yeah, well, I mean, yes, it is shaky. You're a decade old man. I'm 10 years old. Are you 7 and you think 10 is old? Bro's a whole decade. But can you mount your camera from Slinkies? Well, that's not going to make it less bouncy. I watched the video 10 times to support any and all white boys with class. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Can you put your camera on a tripod on a pogo stick? Are you trying to make a point that it's a little bouncy? Is that your goal? Can you just wear a GoPro head cam? If I wore that, the stream would just be my monitor. It would just be a bad moving version of my monitor. That would be fire. That wouldn't be fire because when I could just do this. Well, I could just change scenes. Then you can see my monitor right now. Why would you need to see it from stream it to a POV stream? POV stream. Very interesting. Very, very interesting ideas. Yet again, Twitch chat comes through in the clutch. Atrioc, I noticed you said yesterday the weather is too hot for flannels that you're wearing one now. Care to comment? Yeah, I will comment. We went to a nice brunch this morning with a bunch of friends. It was like a fucking quadruple date. Okay? We went to a brunch. And it was at a nice place. And as I was walking out the door, I was wearing just jeans and a t-shirt. And then Ari goes, it's a nice place. You should dress differently. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, but it's so hot. And she's like, well, I mean, you got to wear a little nicer. And so I run in the room and I put on my nicest flannel. That's exactly what happened. And then I've worn it all day. And I had to wear it at LCS when it was hot. Being able to say nicest flannel is a problem. No, it's not. No, it's not. What's the problem with having a nicest flannel? Did you keep the Enron hat at the place? It wasn't, you guys, okay, maybe I overstated how nice it is. It was just like I was, if anything, overdressed. It was above Chili's, but it wasn't Michelin. White boy had too much class. Anyway, it was great. What was cool was it was a restaurant built into an old church, I guess. It was like alongside and built. They bought an old church, but then didn't use the church. They just built the restaurant next to it. And the general manager, I don't know if he was that, but he said he was recognized me and Stans from probably a Ludwig viewer, I guess. But he said, are you Atrioc and Stans? And then he gave us a tour of the church, which is pretty sick. Nah, he watched Chain Together. Yeah, I'm sure. No, you probably just got finished watching our worst performing video of all time. True fan of white boys with class making the devil shiver. And that's when he pulled us in. 90% of Atrioc viewers are clergymen. That tracks. That tracks. Did he call you a white boy with class? He did. He said, wait, I'm sorry. I can't help but notice you two gentlemen have so much class for white boys. And I don't know. I feel a chill in the air from the devil shivering his little red ass off down there. Can you guys go check out the church? And that's when we brought him in. Were there any nuns? No, it's not. It was actually the church. I'll tell you exactly what church it was. You can fucking, I don't care. This is like a well-known restaurant. It was the church from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It was this right here. This is the church. Damn, that's where we were today. That's crazy. We were at this church. And the guy gave us a tour. It was kind of cool. Is it that white in person? No. So they either must have painted it or used digital effects. It's not white at all. Other than the two white boys with class in it. It's actually not any, it doesn't look like this. Like it's all brown, really. It's like a church. So they lied? Yeah, I guess. The devil was shivering, I'll tell you that. The devil was shivering. Did you explain to the clergyman that his church was in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, like he hasn't heard that 100 times a day for the last 5 years? You have gotten so many details wrong of this story that I don't know how to... He's not a clergyman. He was the general manager of a restaurant. He explained it to us. He brought us on the tour. I didn't volunteer him to go to his own church and then explain a fact to him that I didn't know. What the fuck scenario have you created in your head? I wasn't church-splaining. Is this the famous Big A from the Squeaks Hitman stream? Dino Beats, thank you for your first time chat. I'm getting the feeling that I might not get along with you. Just the way you're opening, it makes me feel like we're not going to gel as chatter and streamer, but I'll give you another chance. I'll give you another chance. I never write somebody off first chance. The new Get Smarter tool has a website? Holy shit. Fuzzy Pants coming in clutch? You've decided to give up Bitcoin mining on my computer? So if I go here, wow. Okay. It's really, how does it work? Someone drop a YouTube link. Let's just see if it works. Holy shit, it works. Wow, Get Smarter Saturdays. But wait, we're not doing it yet. We're not doing it. Don't drop it just yet. We'll do it in a second. I'm still vibing. I'm still but thank you for creating that. That's awesome. It works. My wife is making fresh brownies, Pog. I'm jealous. I would love fresh brownies. Yola Man, welcome to the stream. Today is Get Smarter Saturdays, the time of the week when we watch interesting and insightful YouTube videos that are supposed to wrinkle our brains and raise our IQ. The rules are simple. You have to have a video that's not too long, a video that's not too boring, and at the end of it, we have to have learned something. We are going to watch them, but I don't want to jump in just this 1 second. Hey, Pay. so far I'm 150 pages into Barbarians at the Gate. So far it's interesting, but not a proper page turner. Does it get better? I mean, it's a in-depth reporting on the acquisition of Nabisco by RJR Tobacco. If you don't find that interesting, it will not become a page turner. I think it's written in a pretty interesting way, and I do think it does get more interesting as you go because it's really a human drama. It's about how these gigantic egos come together to fucking eviscerate money, to just fucking waste money on big, ambitious ideas that don't come to fruition. But it's not going to be like Harry Potter. R-Dubs, thank you for the 52-month sub. I don't think you're actually that shy. I think you're making fun of me for not thanking you. 52 months is a long time to support, and I sincerely appreciate it. R-Dubs. I read one page from a different book every day to maximize knowledge. That's real. That's fucking smart as hell. Just go to a library, grab a first book, pop it out, pick a random page, skim it, put it back in. You are fucking smarter. They call him the thinker. Speaking of LeBron James, I watched LeBron James and Anthony Edwards and the entire U.S. squad truly make sure that Puerto Rico will never become a state. The United States team beat Puerto Rico so bad, I don't think they're getting statehood. I think if they had clutched up a little bit, we'd have a 51st. There was a lot of highlight plays, but honestly, the sickest thing to me was like halfway through the game, LeBron James does this thing where he's got the ball, he like slows down, he like stops, he starts walking a little bit to this way, and then secretly behind the back passes. But it was like so fluid. He like made it, he sold it to me, the audience, that he was going this way, and then it was killer. That was a fucking sick pass. Did he steal that from me? He stole the part where I look lazy on the court. I want to bet Brazil beats Team USA on Tuesday. I'll take that bet. Rafa, I'll take that bet. I will bet on Team USA versus any team. Just wait, you obese Americans. Germany's winning it all. I'm sorry. Perhaps America is a country with an obesity problem. The Team USA, are you calling fucking LeBron James and KD fat? Are you saying Team USA? I guess Joel Embiid, he's a bigger guy. The Fat Reaper. If you guys don't know, KD's nickname is the Slim Reaper because he looks like a fucking ghoul, dude. He's insanely, he's like a wizard. He's so spindly. What is KD's? He's got another nickname that's so funny. The Slim Reaper and the Easy Money Sniper. By the way, both these he created for himself. Easy Money Sniper is so funny. It's like too much. It's doing too much, but it's grown on me. Like I didn't like it. I think it's so cringe. But then I see him make a 3, and the first thing I think of is Easy Money Sniper, baby. This is the first thing I think of. The second he like, it's crazy. He can do it because he's that good. True. Durantula's good too. He's spider-like. Only cringe if you're bad. That's all nicknames. All nicknames are only cringe if you're. I mean, I was talking about this today with people at LCS. I think Faker is such a lame tag if you're not Faker. You know what I'm saying? If he was like an average player and his name's Faker, I'm like, that's kind of weird. It doesn't. But because he's the GOAT, it's like, oh, Faker, that's such a sick tag. Big A's cringe tag, or no? Big A's excellent tag. Big A, whoa. I haven't heard that song in a while. Big A.
NVIDIA man, Brandon, Big A. We here for the chance gambits, win games. It's that in frames. Lived lavish before the rap shit came, or chat knew the name. Not regular hands, man, these is Franks. No time to sleep, already things at stake. New high time on the clock to beat. We don't clock the field, we don't clown around last place. Yeah, why he's referred to the first letter. No one on earth who's insured better. Trendsetter for sure with every endeavor. That burger urges me to get cheddar, then spend it on a combo meal. Bro's going through some shit that is also real. After going through
this got significantly more views than Two White Boys Devil Shivers. I just want you to know. I want you to know we're getting cooked by the fucking songs.
Shift, Brandon's going through a shift, Brandon. Going to the Twitch, you'll never know how the ghosts feel. Whoa. Holy moly, pulling up in the ghost. Holy moly, pulling up with the ghost. Roly, roly, rolling up for the dolls. Who the goat of bros versus pros? Kinda feel I most should know. Okay, but whatever floats your boat. Prairie don't.
You know, I listened to Nolan Pilgrim on Spotify very recently. I was like just chilling, and I was working on a playlist actually, and I wanted to see what he was up to, so I just searched it on Spotify, and he has new songs I hadn't heard. And what was the one I really liked? I was gonna show you guys just so I could fucking shout him out. Maybe it was this.
Baby, I'll take the first train here.
No. Was it this?
Feet higher than geese flying stuff.
No, it was this.
Haven't I written enough stanzas? Everything's deep into substandard. Lately I've been throwing subs. And I do not mean a sub sandwich. Something is up with me, but I'm standing. So I've been saying it's up. If you're sticking by my side, you better
Walk on Delilah. Anyway, he's got a new project out called And Dandy. Fine and Dandy, you know? Looks like this. And it's good. Check it out. I think Invite Me was what I liked, but I have to check it again. Did you see the Name of the Wind author scamming his chat of a third book chapter? No, what happened? Has he never written the third book? In the Name of the Wind. The Name of the Wind was... It's been 13 years? Bro, I read both these books. So, listen, I like these books. I like the Name of the Wind series a lot. But it is like a power fantasy type. It's basically a book about this dude who everything goes right for him. Like, he fucking... I mean, he spends the whole book just being the GOAT at everything. And then fucking elf women. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like his whole... Yeah, it's kind of Mary Sue. It's very Mary Sue. Gary Stu, right? It's Gary Stu. And, except for Everyone Ever Loved Dying, bro, that's such a cop-out and you know it. That's like how an anime story starts. Yeah, they'll give you the big broad arc strokes of like, but day to day, his lived experience in the book is that he's constantly winning. And then everything. But the thing is, by the way, I say this with love. I critique the things that I like. People don't get that about me, or they are not capable of aligning. Like, I have a fucking, 30-minute rant video on Harry Potter. The only reason I can make that is because I watch and love all the Harry Potters, which is on the book. That's how I like to critique things that I am invested in. And people instead assume that if you like it, you wouldn't have any fucking criticisms. But the criticism of it, it's just fun. It's not like high art. It's fun. It's a fun book. The world building is fun. But it's very clearly meant to be like, wow, this guy just keeps on winning and it feels good. It's like a fun power fantasy. However, there was 2 books written 13 years ago. And now he's been waiting this long for the third one. Dude, even the cover of the book. I mean, tell me that's not a little bit of a power fantasy. This is not the cover that I have. I'll tell you that. That's not the cover. What's the author look like? Oh, I don't think he looks like that. If that's what you're trying to guess. Patrick Rothfuss. No, he looks something like that. If you're trying to like think it's a self-insert, I don't see it. Well, he does have reddish hair in this photo. But anyway, if the third book comes out, I'll fucking read it. I'm excited. If the third book comes out, I'll read it. But he's never written it. It's crazy how long it's taken. It didn't like. Here's the thing. I can understand in a weird way. I can understand why George R.R. Martin has taken so long. Okay, because George R.R. Martin spent decades writing these books that didn't necessarily blow up, and then they all did quickly, and his whole life changed, and he became actually famous. And he was invited around all these panels, and he was invited on TV shows, and then he got TV show money, and he got to consult on HBO stuff and sequels and spinoffs, and he gets invited to do Elden Ring and everything. His whole life changed at the end of a long career of writing. And so it's like, yeah, he's going to enjoy it. He doesn't want to sit down and fucking bang out, 3 pages a day for a year. He's getting old. I get that he's slow. I get it. I don't, it sucks for me as a fan of the books, but I get why. But like these books did well, don't get me wrong, but he didn't get, there wasn't a TV show or whatever. I'm just so surprised that he is incapable of finishing out a series in 13 years. I don't really know George R. R. Martin's books. He wrote Game of Thrones. You didn't know that? Game of Thrones. Rothfuss said something like all the drafts have been finished for over a decade, but he kept changing and editing. The Marketing Monday slides problem? Well, then I have no advice for him. I have no advice for him. I have no advice. What can I say? Nothing you can do. I got a 200 slide predictions PowerPoint right here on my fucking desktop. I think editing is harder. It's harder. It's easier to bang it out, but then it's like, oh, I have to what are my cuts? How do you make it flow? Boring. But open it up, then you won't. Bro, it wouldn't even surprise you now. I feel like at least half of these predictions are things I've turned into other discussions. I mean, like I had this whole thing. The incumbent will lose. That was the whole theme. It was the year the incumbent loses. That was one of them right there. Where I just fucking start talking about how this year every incumbent's we have all these elections. It's fucking the world's biggest year for elections. Can you drop your predictions 25 times so we can do a review and less pressure on you? Yeah, I'll do it in 2025. He has a folder with predictions of the Ponzi Iceberg. No, I don't have any Ponzi Iceberg or no COD games. The Ponzi Iceberg only exists as a... I have the iceberg picture in Photoshop, and I have all of the Ponzi's on it, but I haven't made any slides, and I haven't fucking... I have what I've chosen the Ponzi's. But I haven't like made the fucking... Schrodinger's Ponzi. You and Stans were going to watch the X-Files before you started House? Bro, I'm thinking I might just randomly watch another House episode. For some reason, I was kind of fiending for it. I was just missing the old fuck. Your Ponzi video is in itself a Ponzi. Wow, it's kind of deep. Isn't that kind of powerful? Isn't the idea of like promising future returns on a Ponzi scheme video and then stringing you along for a long period of time the ultimate Ponzi scheme in itself? And then I've taught you more about avoiding Ponzi schemes than it's like performance art. Yeah. No, the only reason I'm not showing my predictions video is because I think the intro of my predictions slides is such a banger. I feel like I really nailed it. And so I'm just going to steal it and use it for next year's predictions. I'm not going to fucking waste it on like a half year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just have this banger intro and then, besides, I mean, you know, I skipped it in 22 as well. Same problem. Like, I did predictions 21, skipped in 22, did it in 23, skipped in 24. It's every 2 years. I don't know what to tell you. That's what that's predictions, bro. Why use it next year? Predictions 26 could have a dope intro. Now you're thinking. Now you're thinking like me on January 17th of 2025. Why finish this now? 2026 could have a great intro. Will you let us know what are your 2020 predictions? I promise you to do this, but I promise you that it doesn't ring the same. Nobody. I guess I probably have. I have to have something that proves that I've had these. I think I have a Discord message where I DM'd my whiteboard to somebody with all the predictions on it back in January. I need to see if I can find that. Otherwise, there's no point. I don't even want to fucking go through it if I can't have proof that I had it back then. Can you honestly jot it down on a notepad at this point and just share it to us? No, I don't want to. I use this stuff. I've pulled so much of this for fucking clips or for Marketing Mondays. Just one more that's like obvious. One more that's obvious. So I on the left side of this board, I have all my 24 predictions, and on the right side, I have all my 23 ones because I was trying to see. I want to make sure I have at least as good ones as 23. And then I didn't do it. So anyway, one of them right there, AI winter. Okay, so one of them is the thing I've talked about many times. I've basically used slides from this already, where I talk about how the parallels between 99, 2000, and now with regards to AI internet bubble and AI stocks, and how yes, it's going to mean something, but Freddie Mac requires you to have 1 month of asset statements with no deposits being over 50% of your. What are you talking about? Why are you just dropping Wikipedia on? I don't believe you. You want to make a bet? You have to put something up, Quack. Put something up. Put something up as a bet, and then I'll prove it right now. I can just move my camera. All right? But I want you to put your money where your mouth is, because I'm 100% confident that all of my predictions are here on the left and all of 2023s are on the right. I'm looking at it right now. I can read 23. Layoffs. Stocks will go to zero. Gaming. Sports betting. Nintendo. Anger. AI. India. Okay? Right there on the right. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on the left. Okay? Bro predicted Nintendo. It was that they would have a great year. I mean, I was fucking. I didn't predict the word Nintendo. Why don't you put up your revenue split for the Devil Shivers video? Put that up as a bet. What could you possibly stand to lose? $14? Fuck, dude. That video is currently at, oh my God, $128 of revenue. We are eating good. We are eating good. That's also low CPM. It's a slow burn. It'll get there. It'll get there. What's the retention's not bad. Well, it's about half, 50%. I think it's usually normal when a video gets bigger. Usually not at the beginning, but this just means you should go to Chili's more. Yeah, I should never have talked shit on the Chili's video. The Chili's video blew this video out of the water. Chili's video is not only had a better start, but has been a better slow burn. We'll see how. Which video are we talking about? I mean, I can't tell how much of it is the title because the click-through rate has bounced back after we fixed the title and the thumbnail. So I don't know. Maybe it'll pick up. It did pick up a little bit. But I gotta tell you, the first 3 hours, it was the deepest 10 out of 10 that we've ever had. I mean, not ever, but since 2021. Since before. Just wait until the Skibbity React video. So I'm not joking. I legitimately think that if Squeaks and I do the exact same thing as Autumn Reacts, if Squeaks and I literally do this.
Oh my God, he's so creepy. He has laser eyes. Today we are finally going to be watching the Skibbity Toilet Seasons. All right, what is this? There's a toilet? What? What? Guys? Is that a guy in a toilet? Okay, we're going to keep going. What? There's two of them.
I think if we do this, I swear to God, it's going to beat everything I've ever done. I think it's going to outperform. We're going to do it on a fresh channel. It could hit the algo. It's crazy. I don't think you can take it seriously. We're going to take it dead seriously. We're going to take it dead seriously. What's funny is people say AI can't replace streamers' jobs. Come on. You think they can't fucking... Once, like, the visuals are better, you think they can't cook up an AI that can just literally describe what it's seeing? That's all that... AI can literally... That's the only thing it can do is, like, take a scene capture and describe it. This is a carrot? This is a bus? Yeah, a VTuber with a screen reader. It's got 3.6 million views. Kwebbelkop did something like that. Kwebbelkop's thing flopped hard. I don't know where this idea that it was super successful comes from. He actually had to back out of it because it was like the viewers were almost nothing and he was getting a bunch of shit. The technology's not there. Ahead of his time? No, definitely ahead of his time. But I think too ahead of his time. We pivoted all in and people were mad at him, and it didn't seem to pick up. It didn't. I mean, I guess even if you get 2,000 views, as long as you cost you nothing, but I think it does cost him. He spends. It's more manual than I think we're let on. Okay. Well, wait a minute. What did I? I want to show you this photo. This photo from Puerto Rico versus America today in the Olympics. LeBron's face. That's my goat. That's my goat. Just clocking in, bro. Another Olympic thing. Can I show this? The French pole vaulter was jumping over the bar, and then his dick knocks the bar down. Did you guys see this? I mean, I think it's safe for work. It's not. He's not hard or anything. It's so funny. It should be fine. I mean, it's not. It's just. It's like it brushes it. He both lost and how did he win? They showed it in slow-mo on TV. All right, I'll just show you. Here he goes. He dongs it, dude. He donged it in a major way. That's so funny. Oh, I guess he did win. He lost the competition, but he's making massive gains on Instagram where he's seeing a lot of new followers. It blew up his personal brand. That's extremely funny. He's an overnight sensation. Him and the Hawk Tua girl have a rom-com in the making. That is the most fucking overtly sexual rom-com. Is the Hawk Tua girl still? Did she launch her TV show and podcast that we were talking about? Remember that fucking article? The endless opportunities for the Hawk Tua girl. She was going to have a speaking tour, a podcast, a TV show, a press run in New York, a press run in LA, a literary agency for a book. She's Kamala's VP. Damn, fuck. She really worked. She's pretty charming. I'm not saying she won't work. I'm just saying it's funny that her agent and manager were so confident. They got her in everything so quickly. Okay, I think we should get smarter. I'm trying to think if there's any other news topics to discuss. Was there anything Olympics I wanted to say? I was reading some stuff, but I can't. It was just about the marketing. It was pretty fascinating. So we did the Olympic ad review, but I do think it's interesting how all out the Olympics are going on sponsorships this year. It's like way more than previous Olympics. Like, I don't know if you guys, if you only watch clips, you might not have seen this, but every single Olympic gold medal winner, Olympian, they have to take a Samsung phone and do a selfie. Like they literally come out with Samsung phones on a tray. They hand it to you. You have to take a Samsung phone and do a selfie. Like after you win gold. You have to. You have to. I mean, I assume you could like maybe categorically refuse and probably get out of it, but they are all supposed to do it. Bro, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? This is the most extreme example I've ever seen. We are 15 seconds out from just watching that clip. It's right here. That's crazy. The Japanese are getting racist because a French black man has been known for a nickname. In what? What are you talking about? This will add to your LeBron GOAT agenda. Did LeBron James play the 3 greatest games ever? This is possibly very interesting to me, but not for stream. I'll probably watch this on my own. Animated video at the Dutch East Indies Trading Company. VOC, the biggest company ever. This is interesting. I could watch this. Although I have to tell you, going into it, so I looked into this for a different subject. Me and my guy Dominic were working on something about the $3 trillion club of NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft. And I just want to be very clear that there is zero evidence, zero real evidence that the Dutch East India Company or any of these historical gigantic companies are actually anywhere near the actual value of $3 trillion, which means the most valuable companies in history are right now. They're right now. They are Apple, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. No company in human history is even close to the wealth value of these actual companies, even especially adjusted. No, especially adjusted. In fact, adjusted by any known measure, this company might be worth $1 trillion, which of course is crazy. A $1 trillion company for its time is unreal. However, $3 trillion, $1 trillion in today's money. What if you look at wealth share instead of all methods? Really look into it. The whole idea comes from some article that just made it up. There's a whole story on like looking into where this claim comes from, and it's like some article just made it up. They just made up a number. They just said 17 trillion, and everyone just ran with it for years. It's just not. It's not true. It's not. It just there's no value. And you can measure it basically in what they were paying their workers, like an hourly wage and what that would buy. That's like the best way to compare it. Like how much are they worth versus how much they pay their average worker versus how much that buys. Like what is a day's wages? How much what buys a house and a whatever? And it's like it's nowhere close. Play the video. All right, let's watch it. Anyway, I just want you to know that it's not. I don't think it's the biggest company ever. However, it is of course historically very relevant.
In this video, we will be covering the rise, existence, and ultimate demise of the Dutch East India Company, VOC for short. The Dutch VOC was the biggest company that ever existed, with a company value of around 8 trillion US dollars.
That's the made up number from the article. That's the made up number. I don't buy it. We literally went so into this. I don't think it's woke or misinformation. I think the rest of the video is probably really good because I think it's interesting to know. But let me make sure. Is this our channel that like? What do they cover? Okay, I actually am not sure this is a good channel. The reason being is that when it's a channel whose main thing is animation and they cover every different topic, then what I think is they don't actually know anything about any of these topics. They're just reading Wikipedia or whatever, and then they spend all the time on the animation. That or they're yoinking from a documentary. That is my estimation, that they have done no actual research on anything because they're so broad. So I'm gonna skip this one. Not any knock to them, but I think we're gonna get Wikipedia read back to us with animations. Video about big video games. What's this? Games with empty worlds. Could be interesting. Oh, let me just open the. Where's the website? We'll use the website. I'm sorry. Let's show the app so everyone can see. Okay, here we go. China's most valuable spy in America? Who killed masculinity in video games? That's... Who suggested this? Three of you? The history of the Garfield ride people keep fucking on? We're not going to learn. We're not going to learn. Let's not get Smarter Saturdays. Dylan Sprouse finally talked about the Danimals sweepstakes. Guys, none of these are... I don't care. I can't believe... Guy who tricked the Shark Tank. What if my Intel CPU explodes? I do want to know about that. Games with empty worlds. A lot of views. Seems interesting. You guys want to fuck around with it? Start off with a nice palette cleanser? Nothing too heavy, just video games. Games with empty worlds.
5,560 square miles. That is the size of the map in the 2009 video game Fuel. 5,560 square miles. That is roughly the size of Connecticut, and much like Connecticut, the map of Fuel is basically nothing but empty space. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world similar to Mad Max, and this expansive, unnecessarily large map is really the only special part of the game. The driving is mediocre, the races against CPUs are completely rigged in...
I don't know why people love bragging about it. At conferences, like at E3 and everything. Todd Howard types love bragging about the physical size of the game. And it's just, I guess it's a fun way to say that it's better than something else. Like that game has a, 100 square mile world, and we have 1,000 square mile world. But it's always so hollow sounding. I guess it used to work, but I feel like people have kind of wised up. That doesn't mean, it's almost off-putting when you describe how big the game is. It's like, oh, well, that's going to be fucking slop.
Your favor, and the graphics have that classic beige puke color palette of the late 2000s. Just like the map, the entire game is a large, bloated, barren wasteland. When it comes to game maps, there is almost always a wasteland, the places in between the action. The roads and wilderness, stuff that has to be there to look like a convincing world, but
what
places
game is
where
this?
You don't really have anything to do. Hallways in between the action.
Wait, what game is this where you play as Pikachu running around? Poke Park? For what? For what console? I've never heard it. It's for Wii? You guys grew up with this? I mean, I had a Wii. I don't remember this fucking game. Poke Park? Every Pokemon game I ever played on a console was like, outside of the very recent ones where they finally did open world, you couldn't, it was all, scripted battles, and it was like Pokemon Stadium type beat, it was all, that's crazy. That's crazy.
anything to do,
Pokemon
always
Coliseum.
in between the action. The issue with these is that they're kind of really boring. While games are art, the majority are also made for our entertainment, so each and every game with a consistent world has a big, large, gigantic wasteland problem. One of the simplest solutions has been around for a very long time. Pokemon is a game that almost entirely consists of connecting points, routes between cities and towns populating whatever region you're in. These games are really two slightly different games stitched together. The routes serve as obstacle courses, throwing trainer
I'm sorry, I can't move on. What the fuck is Pokemon? Like, do you play as Pikachu and you go around fighting things? You don't play as a trainer. You play as a Pokemon. That's really weird, right? That's like not Pokemon. They've never done that. How do you... Oh, it's mini games. It's mini games. They do spin-offs all the time. I know they do spin-offs, bro. I'm saying I can't recall a game where the purpose of the game is not to fight gym leaders or catch Pokemon. It's to play as a Pokemon and then just run around. And so it's not open world. It's you run around and do little games against Hey You Pikachu. Do you think you play as Pikachu and Hey You Pikachu? Answer the question. Do you think you play as Pikachu and Hey You Pikachu? Or do you think perhaps the purpose of the microphone is to talk to Pikachu? Pokemon Snap? You don't play as a fucking Pokemon. Pokemon Snap, you take pictures of the Pokemon. And it's on rails. The whole thing is literally, not even metaphorically, it is literally on physical rails. You're just naming Pokemon games that don't apply.
Battles and random encounters in your way to strengthen and build your Pokemon team. Still, though, despite the life given into these routes, the real content of the game is in the cities and towns.
They're digital rails?
The
No,
most
they're
iconic
physical.
part of Pokemon games are the events and gym battles.
True.
Each and every city is full of people and quests and stories, even
True.
beauty contests that serve as entirely standalone minigames. Each and every location is a hotspot not just for life, but content. But to make all of this possible, to give tension and challenge to the gyms and rival battles and story events, the routes are necessary. Not just to connect these places, but to serve as the other transitionary part of an RPG game, grinding for levels. These two mechanics are almost always combined because it makes some intuitive sense. You don't get stronger at the boss, you get stronger for the boss, and both the journey and grinding make the payoff of beating a strong enemy feel more worth it, like you had to put real effort towards your goal. However, not every RPG has levels. Shadow of the Colossus is a deeply empty game.
Okay.
The appeal of the game is, at first, the boss fights
Video game essay, don't talk about Shadow of the Colossus challenge, impossible. I should have known. I should have known Shadow of the Colossus would fucking make its way in.
against these hulking, monstrous creatures, but you don't spend all of your time fighting. A lot of the time is spent doing this, riding through a desolate world. Even for an RPG, Shadow of the Colossus focuses heavily on the roleplay. The world is silent as Wander and his horse Agro hunt down the Colossi to try and revive a girl named Mono. Between the battles, you need to ride to every location with nothing but a guiding light, having you travel through long stretches of silent meadows and meandering cliffsides. It's painfully barren. Any bit of content feels like an oasis, with the rest of the journey being nothing but you and your own thoughts. The game itself feels self-reflective, asking why you're killing these massive creatures. At the start of the game they feel terrifying, but as it goes on, it almost becomes tragic. They weren't really harming anything, and were the last signs of life left in this
Dude, that's so
spooky
many
land,
games.
and you're the one exterminating them. The empty space in the journey,
There's so many games where you are ostensibly the hero, but when you think about it, you're like going to places where you weren't invited, fucking things up and killing things. It's like almost every game, if you boil it down, you are the fucking world ruiner. You're the bad guy. You spend a lot of time slaughtering enemies. Elden Ring is a great example where it's like Elden Ring, you walk around in the natural habitat of a bunch of creatures and just fucking kill them en masse. If you full play Elden Ring, it's really the story of a guy that went across a whole continent and killed every single thing he saw. That literally went into every nook and cranny and killed every living thing. It's a one-man genocide with a blade.
Time you spend writing makes you think about all of this. There's almost nothing to distract or entertain you, using the world as a way to really put you in the position of Wander, the main character. You think the things he might be thinking, understand his desperation, his questioning, and even his decision to keep going, all to save this one girl. Most games, however, adopt the exact opposite philosophy. As much as Shadow of the Colossus' decision...
That's why I like Bloons Tower Defense. I'm the hero the Bloons are invading. I guess. I would love to see a Bloons POV of what they think's happening. Do you know what I'm saying? What if the Bloon homeworld is like going through a tragedy and these are like a bunch of refugees? Do you know what I'm saying? And they're not attacking you, they're just moving. What if they're just refugees trying to move through your space? They're seeking asylum and then they're just getting fucking popped. They're getting walled in and fucking slaughtered. I'm just saying there's a lot of ways you could take Bloons TD. But I will say that the counterpoint is that they have Moabs, which feel like weapons of war. You know, when the red balloons come running and they get popped, it's almost like I feel bad for them. But the Moabs feel like weapons of war. So it's tough to say.
was interesting, it's hardly fun.
When the balloons send their blooms, they're not sending their best. They're not sending their best, okay?
In fact, for all games revolving around adventure, there's one whole leg of the journey that's just as unfun: the trip back. For the first playthrough of a game, the biggest appeal is that you don't know what's gonna happen, what you'll see, what you'll do, but the trip back is a guarantee. You know these places now, that won't change. So a lot of games focused squarely around fun have gone to great lengths to minimize the lengths you need to travel. The most classic examples are vehicles. Whether it's a car or a horse or a motorcycle with blades on the side of it, vehicles are the most natural way to travel some boring part of the map faster. It can even turn the landscape into a bit of a minigame. With higher speed comes higher risk, so the rocks and bumps and hills that would normally serve no danger become a new form of obstacle. My favorite example of this is in Just Cause 3. Just Cause 2's map was filled with tiny villages between the larger areas, holding collectibles and secrets to hold the player over on the way to bigger events. Just Cause 3 made the decision to abandon those tiny villages, instead having mid-sized towns be the smallest areas available, still giving a lot of things to do compared to the paltry villages of the last game, but it meant that the distance between these places were now longer. Just Cause 3 solved this issue with the introduction of the wingsuit. While the previous game had the grappling hook and parachute, the combination of the two was...
I mean, isn't the whole point of this game just fucking around? I've seen this game as an example a lot of times, but the whole point is not... No one cares about the story or the objectives or anything. It's entirely designed to just run and fuck around. Is this movement footage? Oh.
It's pretty slow. The normally high-action gameplay was interrupted by a fun but leisurely way to travel, making cars most often the best way to get around. The wingsuit changes the entire chemistry of the Just Cause.
Oh, Moonbeat the DLC. Good job, my goat. My fucking goat. Big respect. Big respect.
Series. While the entire fun of the game before was blowing up everything in sight, sometimes I found the wingsuit more fun than the destruction itself. Suddenly, the landscape of Just Cause 3, this beautiful island, becomes an obstacle course that you get to define. While you can soar peacefully in the open air, I felt a draw towards getting as close to the ground as possible, weaving between trees and cars and buildings, risking everything for every little bit of adrenaline I could get. There were times where I'd just fly around with a grappling hook and wingsuit, ignoring any objectives and taking in this new dimension of travel laid out before me. It felt so freeing and dangerous and rewarding. I want to play Just Cause 3 while writing this. I like it way more than I should. Anyways, unfortunately, not every game can have a wingsuit, or at least not all of them try to. Even further, some are so vast or so focused on constant entertainment that not even vehicles cut the time spent traveling well enough. So eventually, game developers went, let's just have them teleport. though to be
Right.
honest with you, saying eventually is a little misleading. The first game to have fast travel was Dragon Quest, a game released in 1986. Being one of the earliest and most bare-bone RPGs, it had the same combination of leveling and empty space that the Pokemon games would later have. Understanding this even back then, Dragon Quest gave the players a spell, Return, which sent you directly back to the castle, no backtracking required. Pokemon would also give you this ability in the later parts of the games with the ancient Fly, letting you travel to any city or town you've already visited.
Bro, Pokemon without Fly would be the most miserable fucking game. The way towns are connected is all these fucking long-ass routes. It would be so annoying. It would be so annoying to have to walk back.
As time went on, though, games integrated fast travel further and further into their very level design. The Borderlands 2 level, A Damn Fine Rescue, has you chasing desperately after a robot that kidnapped the leader of the Crimson Raiders, Roland. The design of Borderlands 2 was a lot like a spider web, with almost every major area connected to at least 2 others, forming one solid cohesive world to travel through. However, in the mission to save Roland, the game design is thrown straight out the window. After fighting your way through a camp and killing Bloodmaw, you find your way into the Bloodshot Stronghold, diving headfirst into the heart of the enemy. This mission might be the longest action sequence in all of Borderlands 2, with waves of enemies meeting you in every single room and hallway of the stronghold. You face turrets and nomads and psychos and badasses, bruisers and marauders and mini-bosses, in close quarters and long quarters, and both at the same time. It's kind of difficult to actually die in the stronghold, because every time you're downed, there's an enemy right next to you to revive yourself with. It's excessive in a fantastic way. After fighting through hordes of enemies, though, you finally meet up with Roland, locked in a prison cell. But
can I, this is a specific memory of mine. Did anyone play BioShock Infinite? And did they think, this is kind of a cool idea, I like the story. And then you get to like the last third of the game, and it was just endless hordes of faceless enemies, and you got so fucking bored. And you got like nightmarishly bored. I don't know if anyone else had a similar experience, but I was feeling good about the game until the last third, and then it left such a bad taste in my mouth. It was like so lazy, and it was just hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies, and I was like, this is not fun. I'm not having any yeah, just a memory I had when I was playing it like a while back.
before you can free him, he's captured by a robot named Warden out of nowhere. With Roland being the enemy to a number of forces, Hyperion decides to double kidnap him, and suddenly this already excessive mission becomes a full-out war between the Bloodshots and the Hyperion robots, with you stuck in the middle of it. Fitting to the mission extending, you travel even further out to a brand new area, the Bloodshot Ramparts, an open war zone with Roland being pulled to the very back. The second entire half of this mission is somehow even more chaotic and action-packed than the first.
This is pivoted to an ad for BioShock 2.
War seems brutal and equal at first, taking some of the fire off you, but the further you plunge into the ramparts, the clearer it is that Hyperion is winning the battle. By the end, it's only you against an entire army of robots, all culminating in the final boss of the mission, the Warden bot itself. In terms of the normal bosses in the game, you know, the ones that don't fly through the sky around you or something psychotic like that, Warden is among the more fun ones. It has a classic video game obvious weak spot, but it's not always possible to shoot.
I have to see where he's going with this. This is a game about games with empty worlds, and it has become a point-by-point description of one part of... I have to know where he's going with this.
You're forced to deal with waves of Hyperion robots crashing into the ground around you, badass loaders, rockets, and other crazy shit happening to serve as a fun little cap to the already chaotic level. After managing to free Roland and kill Warden, he actually uses the ability you had in the first game if you played as him, a turret that can also heal you, and it's one of the only times you get to fight with an NPC in the game. All that's left is to clear out a final wave of robots, and the mission comes to a peaceful end. Now, Borderlands always had fast travel, and occasionally does make you or encourage you to use it, but the end of A Damn Fine Rescue doesn't even bother to offer you another option. To head back through both entire regions would be insane. Even Roland just teleports. Unlike the rest of the areas in the game, the Bloodshot Stronghold and Ramparts don't really serve another purpose, not even as connecting points. The only reason it was here was to throw enemies at you from dawn to dusk, and now that
That was the point? There was one side mission in Borderlands 2 where you fast travel back at the end, and you had to tell me all the details the whole way of who you shot and what guns you used and and how the boss was one of the better ones and how... That's wild.
the enemies are gone, outside of some side missions, these areas are absolutely useless. Just teleport out, the game designers say, and honestly, I can't really argue with them. There are even games that don't just remove the trip back, but the trip there too. The Super Mario Galaxy games are a wonderful mix of 3D...
Dude, that's crazy. That's, I mean, listen, it works. You know what? The thing is, I've realized about YouTube, especially for video essays, people want it to be longer. They want the details. They don't want you to get to the point. They want more footage. They want to remember shit. I understand. I understand that this is responding to a market need. But if that was like an essay, that was the most word padding I've ever seen. Like, this part could be 30 seconds about an example in Borderlands 2 where they like... That's crazy. That was so padded.
2D and gravity-based platforming with some of the most atmospheric and interesting level design that the Mario series has ever had to offer.
Yeah,
that
true.
being said, I've never been able to get the idea out of my head that most of the time we're really not playing one level. You play this mini level, then shoot to the next one, and once you're done with that, boom, next mini level. Sometimes the only thing connecting these worlds is some loose idea or mechanic, or just saying, it's the same level, deal with it. The level design in Super Mario Galaxy is a series of small challenges one after another, with a fancy fast travel between each and every one.
Okay.
Truthfully, this isn't an open world game at all. Not that the video was only about that, but it's a regular linear...
The game is called Games with Empty World. The video is called Games with Empty Worlds. And the thumbnail is a big thing that says empty.
Near Mario game. The only difference is that it has launch stars instead of pipes. Empty space is taken rather literally, with every level surrounded by the cold void of space, but even the spaces between the planets are nothing more than decorative. You don't spend time traveling it, you're shot directly where you need to be, and catch a nice view in the process. But seeing all of these approaches, Fuel made an interesting decision. Let's make all of it empty space.
Okay, we're back to Fuel.
To describe Fuel as a
We're
video
back to
game
Fuel.
is a little challenging. The game makes the hilarious decision to add a map in the bottom left corner as if you'll ever actually use the roads. Driving through the wilderness is just plain easy and is still the only sort of challenge the game can ever offer you. I watched the entire 2-hour-long video, a nerd-cubed road trip, and between responding to chatters or random tangents, the only thing he could ever really mention about the game is, wow, this game has a big map. This map is so big. The game map is massive. The only other times he mentioned the game were talking about the very obvious lazy glitches or reused assets.
Is it crazy or do you think there's no point? Is this just a series of video game footage that could be tangentially related to the idea of empty world? There's no point. There's no reason for this to exist. They're not trying to make a... I'm going to skip to the conclusion. Okay? I just want to see what the conclusion is. I have to know.
Finished. In fact, it's not even close. With the speed of the Kerbal and the size of the planet, the estimated time to travel just half of it is somewhere around 873 hours. A new part in the series sadly hasn't been uploaded for 10 months, and yet one day I'm sure that at least someone will travel the entire thing. Because, for some reason, we feel a need to explore even these empty worlds. People have gotten to the edge of the long drive, the point where the roads stop generating entirely. Multiple videos traverse the entire map of Fuel, getting to the edge of Minecraft, of Daggerfall, these painfully long journeys, knowing there's nothing at the end to make it all worth it. It can't just be curiosity. We know there's nothing waiting for us, and yet we're pulled along by something to see every inch of these empty worlds. In most games, these roads are small, as short as they can be, letting the player get to what they really want, where they need to go. But for some games, whether on accident or on purpose, they become the roads, things you travel for the sake of traveling. But to me, the thing that draws people into the size of Fuel's map is the same thing as every other game. For some people, the only thing it takes is the knowledge that somehow, somewhere, there is an end to find. And so, they will, no matter what it takes. Thank you, and have a nice day.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. I feel like that is just the combination of the right sounding voice and the ability to put that on to distract yourself from fucking ADHD. That's crazy. YouTube video essays are so peak, bro. They're so peak. They're so peak. Okay. I don't know that I necessarily got too much smarter from that. So let's see if we can mix it up. The medieval kingdom that was erased from history. What? Oh, I love Raz's videos. Oh, we go video game round 2. I know Raz is gonna have a point. Why Skyrim? Could be interesting. Could be interesting. Fuck it. Let's just try it. Let's start it out. Why Skyrim?
Skyrim is one of the biggest games of all time. It is
Big games again.
received high acclaim from reviewers and players alike, been re-released so many times that I've lost count, and sold over 60 million copies across all platforms. Not all sales data for games
the world empty?
exact or public, as it's on the publishers or devs to report it, but of all the information that's out there, this makes it the 8th best-selling game of all time. And what's most impressive about that is that it's one of only 2 games in the top 10 that's single-player only. Since its release,
I didn't know The Witcher was in the top 10 best-selling games of all time. Is that actually real? No way. Best-selling games of all time. Number 10 is The Witcher 3. Wow. That's phenomenal. I knew it was a big game. Holy moly, that's crazy. Terraria is number 9. Skyrim's number 8. Red Dead's number... Well, that's a single-player game, right? I mean, it has multiplayer components, but... Mario Kart 8? Damn, that game really sold. PUBG sold 75 million copies. That's crazy. Wii Sports. You shouldn't really count that because it's a bundle, right? GTA 5 makes sense. Minecraft makes sense. Tetris makes sense. Okay, that all tracks. That all tracks.
it has been a force to be reckoned with and has changed the gaming landscape forever. Throughout the years, it's inspired countless artists, memers, video essayists, game developers, and of course modders, all of whom have kept the game alive in various ways. And to this day, it's...
Okay, you guys know the meme about how, like, don't know what to do, reinstall Skyrim, get a bunch of mods, play it for a bit, get bored, uninstall. That classic meme. And I think it is true. I think people... This is a real thing people do, where it's like, you just, I don't know, you don't have a fucking idea what to do. People reinstall Skyrim, they try to go back to it, whatever, I get it. Is it just me, or has that finally died off? People don't do it anymore. Well, someone just said they did it 2 months ago. Someone did it this week. I guess people are still doing it. That's funny. People are still doing it. I assumed it was finally... It's finally dead. I can't see the pin. Stop telling me to check pinned. I can't see it. I don't have fucking the dashboard. Zoomers with Minecraft. Is the Zoomer equivalent of that Minecraft? You're just bored, and so you install a bunch of fucking shaders or mods or whatever to Minecraft, and then try to, and then fucking Gen Alpha's gonna do it with Roblox. Oh god. Oh god. I'm a Zoomer, do it with Skyrim. Yeah, but you're probably a Zoomer Zillennial. You know what I'm saying? If you're a Zoomer who does it with Skyrim, you're probably like born in 97, 98, bro. You're not like you're an Unk Zoomer, dude. God, Unk. It's so fucking old.
Still has a massive player base, averaging around 20,000 concurrent players across its Steam version.
That's crazy.
Alone. It is beloved in a way few games ever are, and I often find myself wondering why.
Bro, me too. Because I mean, I'll let him get to his points, but Oblivion is better. Straight up. Oblivion is a better game than Skyrim. Straight up. It's just better, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. It's better. The quests are better. The world is better. It has more bloom. I'll give you that. It's just a better game. Let's see what he fucking...
The answer I expect a lot of you will have to this question is simply that it's a great game. And okay, look, I'm not going to claim that everything about Skyrim is terrible. It's not. But there's a lot in it that's really not great.
Yeah.
What makes this notable is that some of the stuff that I would say are the worst aspects of the game are also arguably some of the most important.
Yeah.
For instance, the combat. It is one of the main pillars of the title, and it's kind of a mess. Melee feels floaty and unresponsive, making it so landing a hit doesn't even feel satisfying.
Bro, this is the game. This is most of Skyrim. Fucking killing fucking Draugrs in a fucking crypt that looks the same as everything. Skyrim is so much less creative than the fucking world of Oblivion. It's not the worst game I ever made. I still liked it, but it was like, I didn't feel the pull. It didn't feel as satisfying. I guess Skyrim is fun for the time, especially because it's one of the first games where I felt like you could not even Oblivion is that. Oblivion was the first game for me. Maybe it's just an age thing, but it was the first game for me where it was like, this world really feels open. Like I can just look down, I can see that mountain over there and I can go there. That was the first time as a kid. I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool. It was truly magical. But, you know, Skyrim might have been that for some other people. But I think by the time Skyrim came out, didn't we have like a lot of open world games? So I don't know. Maybe it was...
It's fine. And as enemy AI is pretty bare bones, fights largely boil down to just spamming the attack button in the hopes you'll outdamage whatever you're going against. You may occasionally need to block or take a few steps back to avoid a hit, but even then it still ends up being pretty mindless, and can be further trivialized by making or buying a lot of health potions. Magic also feels unsatisfying due to scaling issues, and can be incredibly frustrating because of how easy it is to accidentally do damage to allies or just any person hanging around.
I mean, it's still pretty cool.
Especially annoying, as in some instances it leads to people attacking you. Like when I was doing the vampire quest near Morthal, I had Thonir join.
It's tough to call that annoying, right? I remember it's fun. Like you spray fire from your hands, which is badass, and then you hit somebody wrong, and then it fucking leads to things spiraling out of control. It's fun in the moment, you know, shit happening. It's fun.
And whenever I would use Bane of the Undead, the area of effect would hit him too, giving me a bounty and causing him to go after me as if there wasn't a master vampire right in front of us. All in all, while your attacks may get stronger and your defense is more effective, you're never really challenged to engage with the combat any differently by the end than you are at the beginning, creating a flat experience. Another rough spot with the game can be seen with the role-playing itself. While you do have tons of choices in terms of what quests you engage with, more often than not, not, there aren't all that many interesting choices once you've started a quest line.
Facts!
And in the instances where you are given a choice, it often ends up lacking nuance and suitable options. One of the first quests players will likely come across is a prime example of this. Upon reaching Riverwood, you come across Sven and Faendal, two inhabitants of the village who are in love with the same woman, Camilla.
Yikes.
Whichever one you talk to first will ask you to deliver a fake letter to Camilla filled with rude and heinous things, and then tell her it was sent from the other. From there, you can give her the letter and either lie or tell the truth about who wrote it, or you can show it to the suitor you haven't talked to yet, who will then give you a fake letter of his own to give to Camilla and also tell you to say it was from the other. Now, once you have both letters, you have to make a choice between who you want to sell out, Sven or Faendal, and this sucks. The quest makes it clear that both these guys are scumbags, but once you reach the point of figuring that out, there is no way to tell Camilla about it. So you either have to pick a side and let her continue to spend time with someone that's manipulating her, or you just do nothing, neither of which feels like a satisfying end if you are trying to play as a moral character. And these kinds of decisions are pretty commonplace. More often than not, you are extremely limited in the responses you can have to any given situation, and the options you are posed with often don't account for information you've uncovered, all of which makes it hard to develop any sort of personality for your character. Most of the time, you have to pick between two bad choices.
That's
These
life.
two aspects of the game
That's life,
feel
Raz.
especially noteworthy because Skyrim is an action role-playing game, yet its action and role-playing are both fairly lackluster. I know some people will point out that Skyrim is a 13-year-old game, so it obviously is going to be rough around the edges in some ways, and yeah, sure, that is true to a degree, but these specific issues don't really have much to do with limitations in tech or design knowledge. There are plenty of titles from that era that did these elements much better, and a bunch of them were published by Bethesda. For example, Dishonored dropped just a year after Skyrim, and it provided exciting and satisfying
Dishonored was so fun when that came out. I really like Dishonored. The first Dishonored, that was
first-person melee combat
that was
that
a
allowed
blast.
for tons of player expression due to its movement options and Corvo's supernatural abilities. Even a few years before that, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic had an incredible combat system that rewarded creativity and observation of the environment while also having
looks
solid
badass.
and varied swordplay.
That looks badass.
As for the role-playing side of things, Fallout New Vegas released in 2010 and has long been praised as one of the most well-written, interesting, and robust role-playing experiences of all time. The point is, they had the ability to create deeper and more fulfilling combat and role-playing systems. They just chose not to. My list of issues with the game goes on and on, ranging from the overly simplistic puzzles, to the level scaling, to the tedium of travel, to...
That's all you said about the level scaling? I thought the last 20 minutes are going to be about it. The reason this game sucks is the level scaling, bro. The level scaling is the worst part of Skyrim. It's so stupid. It's bad in Oblivion 2, by the way. It's bad in Oblivion 2. It's the worst part of these fucking games. It's so annoying in an RPG. The coolest part of an RPG is to level up, get really strong, get cool gear, and then come back to the starting area and fuck up the level 1 thieves. But you walk around and everything is scaled to you. Also, one of the coolest things that can happen in an open world RPG is you go, hey, what's in that fucking ominous volcano in the distance? And you walk all the way there, and you get there, and it's a big fucking dragon that fucks you up. But in fucking Skyrim, everything is to your level. No matter where you go, everything is fucking weak. You never ever feel like, oh, I've wandered into a truly dangerous area. It's so stupid. You never get the thrill of that, and then you never get the satisfaction of beating up on things from the beginning, because you go back to the beginning, and it's like, the bandits are wearing fucking full adamantium. It's so stupid. It is like, it takes all of the soul and joy out of a crafted world RPG. I've always hated it. I've hated it from the beginning, from day one, and I hate it more with time.
The annoying encumbrance system, and it all adds up to an experience that's easy to look back on as
that's why you mod
defined
it?
by
Perhaps.
missed opportunity. Now, despite all of my criticisms, Skyrim became Skyrim, a title that will forever be seen as one of the most important games ever, that people will keep coming back to regardless of how much time has passed. That means something more to those who love it than most games could ever dream of. It doesn't matter that I have issues with it, because it's reached people in a way that few titles ever have or will. And again, that brings me back to the question of why Skyrim? Despite how it may seem, I'm not trying to be a hater for the sake of being a hater. This isn't meant to be me arguing that game people love bad. I don't want to try to prove to you that Skyrim never should have reached the heights it did, or that you didn't even really like it actually. I just have long felt a disconnect with the game, and genuinely want to understand how Skyrim, a title with so many shortcomings and aspects working against it, succeeded in spite of them. So for the past few months, I've immersed myself in all things to do with the game.
The intro.
Reading interviews, researching the release, and replaying it. And I see things a lot clearer now. Of course, it's not the sort of thing that can be boiled down to a single answer. It's a confluence of factors, some circumstantial and some intentional, that enabled Skyrim to become the behemoth it is. And I think it all begins with the audience Bethesda was aiming to capture. Most games out there have a wide range of types of fans, but I've noticed this is especially true with Skyrim. Obviously, there are plenty of longtime fantasy nerds who fell in love with it.
Yeah,
as
it's
well
for
as
everybody.
RPG
It was a
lovers.
mainstream
But it also
game.
grabbed the attention of a much more casual audience. This is anecdotal, but over the years, I've had many conversations with people who lean on the normie side of the spectrum, where we get on the topic of
Oh, you normies. You normies and your Skyrim. The normie spectrum is so fun. I get what he's saying, but it's so funny to be like, oh, you're on the normie spectrum and you like Skyrim? Yuck.
video games, and I end up asking what their top 3 favorites are. And the majority of the time, their answers have been along the lines of Call of Duty, FIFA, and Skyrim. There are so many people who have played Skyrim that you wouldn't have expected to play Skyrim, that don't play anything else remotely similar to Skyrim. Yet, despite it being a single-player fantasy game, it appealed to these kinds of players anyway. One major reason for this had less to do with the game itself and more to do with the cultural landscape of 2011, primarily how fantasy was moving into the mainstream. Fantasy is an interesting genre in that it feels niche in a lot of ways, and for a while it was, but over the past 20 years or so, it has become no longer just for the nerds.
Sure.
One of the biggest contributors to this shift was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which released in the early 2000s and achieved levels of success that no one could have ever expected, creating a demand for more stories that felt like it. This gave fantasy games a much larger target demographic to aim towards, helping many
Bro, when it comes to like sci-fi and fantasy, and I don't think there is such a thing as normies anymore. It's all mainstream. It's all mainstream. I like Marvel used to be a comics thing, and now it's, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I know there's like niche things you can like, but even D&D is mainstream. There's nothing that used to be. All of this culture stuff that used to be kind of in the shadows is 100% open mainstream. It's not. Is that what he's saying? No, I'm not. I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm if anything, I'm agreeing with him. I'm just saying that's what it is now. Even Star Wars. I mean, especially Star Wars. Star Wars is like a mainstream Disney property with theme park rides. It's not. Star Wars has been mainstream forever. That's not even. D&D is definitely not mainstream. Yeah, basically is, bro. Like, it wouldn't be. It's not what it was. I mean, I'm sure it's not like fucking COD, but D&D is mainstream, bro. It's very popular, extremely popular, extremely well known, accepted. The podcasts are like the #1 in the world. Like they're, there's a movie. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
titles in that space become even more relevant. Now, the success of Lord of the Rings definitely helped Skyrim in some ways, but a different fantasy series played a much more impactful role in its success. That, of course, being Game of Thrones. The show premiered in April of 2011 and was an immediate success. There were nearly 10 million.
Wow, I did not know that Game of Thrones Season 1 and Skyrim lined up that closely. That does seem to have some connection. In my mind, I wouldn't have tracked those two. But like, yeah, that's crazy.
billion average viewers per episode, not including the many more people who pirated it, and that first season laid the foundation for the cultural phenomenon it would eventually become. Its grounded story, filled with multifaceted and relatable characters, helped give it a broad appeal even with all of its fantastical elements, getting even more people who had never been interested in the genre to not only watch the show, but to also buy the books. And once folks caught up to whatever was out at the time, many wanted to keep experiencing stuff like Game of Thrones. Just 7 months after the pilot aired, Skyrim released,
Wow.
a game that takes place in a snow-covered region largely inhabited by people who are seeking independence from the rulers to the south that heavily features a civil war and dragons. Obviously, the game wasn't inspired by the success of the
No, I mean, that's funny. It's almost like Game of Thrones, the game, came out as a tie-in with the popular new show. That's a shocking timeline. I did not know that. That's really funny.
show, as all of these aspects
That definitely
were
had to
developed
help
long
with
before it
becoming
premiered,
broad.
But some of them were definitely inspired by the books, with Todd Howard saying, "People in our studio liked it, and it seeped in a bit to what we were doing." What's more interesting is that apparently before Skyrim was in development, George R. R. Martin's team reached out to Bethesda to pitch a game set in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, but Bethesda decided they'd rather make a game in their own world, which does make the similarities between the two feel a little funny in hindsight.
We'd rather make a game in our own world. We'd rather make a game close enough that we get all the 100% of the upside for. Instead of giving fucking 60% to you, we will make our own Norse-themed fantasy world and launch it at the same time. That's fucking based.
To be clear, the two properties have tons of differences, and also a lot of the things they have in common are popular fantasy tropes and ideas from real-world histories and mythologies. So while some influence from A Song of Ice and Fire clearly exists, it'd be unfair to say Bethesda just copied George R. R. Martin's homework. Regardless, the parallels between the two created a synergy that benefited both properties. They acted as a sort of funnel to the other, and given that Game of Thrones was such a massive gateway into fantasy for so many new people, I think this was especially beneficial for Skyrim. Whenever someone, whether it be a longtime fantasy fan or a person newer to the genre, wanted to play or experience something that felt similar to Game of Thrones, Skyrim was the obvious
definitely.
choice, as no other game at the time came anywhere close to matching the show's scope and tone until The Witcher 3 came out in 2015. Skyrim was the closest thing there was to a Game of Thrones game. And that's kind of wild, as there actually was a Game of Thrones game, and it was something. While the synergy was largely coincidental, Bethesda did seemingly capitalize on it with their marketing, most notably with the live action trailer that came out a few weeks before the game did. It is very Game of Thrones coded. Honestly, it could have easily been mistaken for a Season 2 teaser trailer. When asked about the similarities, people
Damn, they fucking leaned into it. That's funny. I didn't remember this or know this, but it does track. That's super funny.
Hines, Bethesda's former VP of Marketing and Communications, said, "If people say that looks like Game of Thrones, we're in the right place in terms of mood and vibe and tone. If that's the impression we're leaving, that's a good thing, as opposed to this must be for some new video game." By airing a trailer that evoked a similar feel to the show, it signaled to anyone who had watched Game of Thrones, if you like that kind of storytelling, you'll like this as well. Now, Skyrim's success with more casual gamers can't solely be attributed to the Game of Thrones
No, but it's
effect.
an impact,
It certainly helped, as fantasy had never been more in demand than it was during the show's run, but there's way more to it than that. Not to mention, Bethesda wasn't just looking to bring in fans of Game of Thrones, they wanted to go well beyond. And in their effort to do that, they ran one of the most effective marketing campaigns of all time. Even with the popularity of the genre growing, Bethesda still faced the challenge of figuring out how to market a high fantasy game to a mainstream audience. In a talk that a few members of Skyrim's marketing team gave at the Game Marketing Summit in 2012, they discussed how they didn't want to apologize for what the game was, but did want to find a way to present it that felt more approachable. To do this, instead of featuring the wide range of mechanics in the game, they leaned more into Skyrim's cinematic elements. This is evident with the live action trailer.
I mean, of course, though. I get it, but of course. You don't put the fucking crafting menu in your trailers. Look at this glorious fucking 4K footage of him picking herbs and then putting... Yeah, of course you lean into the cinematic. You fight the dragon fights. That's not... The guy in the marketing meeting like, what if we focused on the cool dragon fights and not the... Yeah, of course. Of course.
But it also can be seen with the game's official trailer. There's narration about a coming threat, cuts between an intricately carved wall that seemingly contains some sort of prophecy, a person running, and something that seems to be chasing them, and it culminates with a confrontation between a dragon and the game's hero. It then pulls out and shows off many of the locations across the world, as well as the various ways you can fight against the threats you'll face. After an action-packed montage, it cuts back to the hero who defeats the dragon and absorbs its power, an experience you'd expect to be exceedingly rare, but then the camera pushes out again, showing a stunning landscape with another dragon casually perched on some old ruins. Not only does this provide viewers with an easy little story to follow and be intrigued by, but it also shows off how much bigger the world is than this single moment. It promises a game with countless epic encounters.
Makes you want to play it right now.
Dragon around every corner, an experience that is bigger than you can imagine. The cinematic approach allowed them to portray the fantastical elements of the world in-game in a way that didn't feel like nerd shit. But for the nerds watching, they could easily see all of the nerd shit within it, making it effective for both audiences. One issue with presenting a limited...
I like how the example of nerd shit is him torching a mud crab to death slowly.
in a way that didn't feel like nerd shit. But for the nerds watching, they could easily see all of the nerd shit within
There's
it,
nothing
making
nerds
it
love more
effective
than
for
that.
both audiences. One issue with presenting a limited view of a game in this way is that buyers may feel lied to when they get their hands on it and it doesn't end up playing anything like they thought it would. But Skyrim largely avoided this, where a lot of cinematic trailers at the time didn't really resemble the gameplay or even visuals of the
Dude, I
title in the
remember that
slightest.
trailer.
Skyrim's was made in engine, so what people saw largely was what they ended up getting. Also, even though the majority of the game is filled with slower moments, there are still plenty of these epic encounters, and as so many of them are unscripted, they're always exciting to come across. Furthermore, the slow moments that the game is kind of defined by help accentuate the ones that aren't. The downtime is a necessary part of making them feel special. It just doesn't make for the best advertising. The trailer presents a version of Skyrim many players might think they want, one filled with constant action and adventure, and then the game provided them with one that most would actually want, one still with tons of action and adventure, but also enough time to breathe in between so it never becomes exhausting. This same philosophy was also utilized by the marketing team in regards to how they rolled out information. Instead of constantly promoting the game, they valued restraint, aiming to keep information low in the hopes that, in the words of Aaron Losey, Bethesda's current VP of Global Marketing and Communications, they would keep people hungry for more content. The
That's
campaign
cool.
started
Smart.
on December 11th, 2010 with the announcement trailer, and was followed by the official trailer a few months later. But after that, they scaled back a fair bit to not oversaturate their messaging. They showed off a few demos at events, but for a good while, there wasn't a ton of information about the game beyond the main trailer.
Now that's smart. Gamers' imaginations are always better than whatever you can show. The less you show is almost always better, because then gamers build up the game they want in their minds. They get attached to that game, then they hyper defend it. Then they will be fucking fighting for you on the forums and the fucking social media and wherever, just to fucking defend the game that they've created. They'll even get mad. Dude, the funniest thing is when gamers get so hyped for a game, then the game reviews come out, but the game isn't out yet, and the gamers get mad at their reviews before the game is out and they've played it. I think it's so funny when they get furious about a review for a game they haven't yet played because they've already assumed it's a 10 out of 10. No, they get mad at the devs eventually, but there's this honeymoon period where they come out and they can't admit to themselves that it's not as good as they thought, so they defend it even then. It only takes months for enough people to be like, "Hey, this is actually bad, or not as good as we thought," and then the critiques are open to it. Starfield. I mean, Starfield's a great example, but and I think Skyrim is not really a great example because it kind of lived up, especially for the time, lived up to the hype. But the idea of showing not so much, I think is good. I mean, here's a great example right now. So Star Wars Outlaws. Have you guys seen this game? Star Wars Outlaws had me hyped. The trailer they showed was like cool. I was imagining this really fucking awesome game. And they started showing more gameplay, and now I'm like not hyped at all.
As such,
They showed this fucking...
As such, The blaster battles felt like they had meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew that I'd be up against it. As such,
it looks so mid. And when I saw the first trailer, I was like, this looks so sick. And I was so hyped. And then they just started letting actual gameplay come out, and then it looks so Ubisoft coded. So, I mean, that's a great example. I don't think Skyrim would have had this problem, but it's just funny that they thought about this.
This strategy offered tons of room for speculation and intrigue, causing a lot of conversations about the game to be fan-driven as opposed to marketing-driven. And it worked. People talked about it regularly and even started memeing about aspects of the game well before it released. This kind of strategy has become pretty popular with established studios, as once a series has found success, there will likely be a base of fans that can be relied on to generate hype for whatever is next. By not revealing too much, it allows players to...
You know what's wild is, like, I wonder if he's going to mention this. You know, 2010, this is 2011, but 2010 is when social media becomes a thing, basically. When enough people have smartphones, that the percentage of people, like, consistently using phones and social media reaches over 50% or whatever. So, like, this is like the beginning. It's like early social media, memes, everything.
Imagine all the possibilities of how it might be to play and avoids running the risk of fans becoming worn out from hearing about it too much. This is what FromSoft and Bandai Namco did with Elden Ring, it's what Nintendo did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and it's what Rockstar is currently doing with GTA 6. After the success of Oblivion as well as Fallout 3, Bethesda was more popular than ever, and so the anticipation for what they did next was high. By only giving sparse updates, they were able to stoke the anticipation, always leaving people wanting more, and then right before release ramped things up dramatically. It was in this final push that they released the live action trailer as well as a bunch of informational ones aimed at more dedicated fans, providing material for folks belonging to all the various demographics they were targeting. And during that span, it was hard for Skyrim not to be on the brain. Along with their successful ads, they also threw a lot of stuff at the wall to see what might stir up conversation. The wildest of which being an offer they issued 9 months before the game came out, where anyone who had a kid on Skyrim's release date and named them Dovahkiin would get free Bethesda games for the rest of their life. Which frankly was a bad deal then, and is a worse deal now. But of course, someone did it. Bethesda's marketing campaign paid off massively, with Skyrim selling 10 million copies in its first month, surpassing Oblivion's lifetime sales. And the team racked up all sorts of marketing awards as well. It helped expose the game to a new audience and drew them in enough to actually buy it, while also still catering to their longtime fans. Now, no matter how timely or well marketed a title is, if the game itself is terrible, it will have a short lifespan. So based on what I said about its major mechanics,
but it's not terrible.
You'd think
It's
Skyrim
good.
would have suffered that
It's just
same
not
fate, especially because those complaints aren't all that unique. People have been bringing them up since it came out, and I've even seen plenty of diehard fans admit that many of them are shortcomings. But despite that, Skyrim has never stopped thriving. People love playing it, even though it has problems. After starting a new playthrough of the game and approaching it with as open of a mind as possible, in my estimations at least, there are two main reasons for this. The first being that most of the ways in which Skyrim is quote-unquote bad were designed that way in order to be approachable to the wide audience they had just captured. There's this talk I think about a lot from Derek Yu, the designer of the Spelunky series, where he discusses the idea of spiky design versus soft design. Essentially, spiky design is stuff that causes friction for the player, that sometimes feels unintuitive, but gets them in a state of focus and at its best creates this sense that they are in a world that could exist without them. Where soft design is stuff that prioritizes player comfort, always aiming to avoid negative emotions in regards to interactivity so that players have a smooth experience.
Interesting.
All games contain some amount of both types of...
Do you guys think I have a soft stream or a spiky stream? Is it optimized for your comfort, or is it kind of like... Well, it's not that spiky. It's not like I'm rude to chat.
design, but generally lean one way or the other. Skyrim has a ton of soft design. Many of its mechanics feel frictionless. That's not to say there are never obstacles that slow the player down or even halt their progress, but for the most part, all of its major systems are easy to engage with and can be engaged with regardless of the type of character you've made. So even though I find the combat to be shallow and boring, the fact that it isn't skill-based means pretty much any player can succeed in fights as long as they have potions on hand and keep upgrading their perks and gear. It's not the most engaging, but it also doesn't box many players out of progressing. With the role-playing, as many choices boil down to simple binaries with somewhat predictable outcomes, it lessens the risk of decision fatigue, and also players don't have to worry nearly as much on how a choice might impact them moving forward. In general, there isn't much the player can get locked out of based on their choices. With the exception of the Civil War questline, doing something for one faction won't stop you from doing something for another, so there rarely are meaningful consequences to actions, which is appealing to those who worry about missing things and messing up their game. Ultimately, a lot of design in Skyrim seems to be centered around the player always moving forward and progressing in one way or another. Like, this is why it has level scaling. It makes it so that in most cases, if the player finds a quest they want to do, they can do it right away. For those who
Boo! Wow, that's who ruined it. The casuals. The fucking casuals. Now I know. Now I know. The game was ruined. Me, a serious gamer. The people on the normie spectrum.
who just want to do the main quest, that's an option. And for those who want to do whatever random tasks they stumble across, that is too. And the softness of Skyrim doesn't stop there. It can be seen with the simplicity of the puzzles and the ability to engage with any skills and the leveling system in general. In a lot of ways, Skyrim doesn't want to get in the player's way. It wants to get them through the door in the hopes that they'll stay a while. And I think this was more than enough for a large portion of the player base, especially the more casual gamers Skyrim was able to bring in. A lot of them just wanted something mildly engaging that they could sink a lot of hours into over a long period of time, and Skyrim provided just that. It's a rare single-player game that can compete with multiplayer titles.
This is a good essay. I don't know what you guys are talking about. If you can't see the difference between that previous essay and this one, then you're just joining in the critique mindlessly. They're so different. They're so different. This has points. He's making points. He's bringing in research to explain his points. This may not be your topic. I can get that. But if you can't understand the difference, then you also have no media literacy. This is everything stacks in a layer, in a row. He's making a point. Every paragraph leads to the next. You know what I'm saying? This is like an argument. With the last one was literally random yap with filler, and then at the end he wrapped it all up. It's night and day. It's night and day. This is a 100x better video. If you're not interested, I understand. If Skyrim's not your thing, but he even did the research. I mean, this is good.
In terms of potential worthwhile playtime. I still believe that Skyrim would have been a much better game if its combat and role-playing asked for more from players, but I also think far more people would have bounced off of it if that were the case. Well, all that said,
Elden Ring didn't sell as much as Skyrim, but Elden Ring kind of proved that, people might not bounce off of it. They might do more than you think. Elden Ring sold a fuck ton of copies. Do you know what I'm saying? I think the right thing for the time, and Skyrim did super well, but the idea that people can't handle it, so you should handhold them to make more money, is not necessarily true. Elden Ring did the complete opposite, and it was also refreshing and did really, I think something unique and well made will stand out and get success. Elden Ring is more casual friendly than any other Souls game. I think it's a fair point. It's more casual friendly than any other Souls game. But, to say that Skyrim couldn't have more difficult combat or bosses, Elden Ring is 10,000 years more difficult, regardless if it's dumbed down from, Sekiro or whatever. I think Skyrim could have had some of that, and it would not have been as big of a risk as they were making it out to be.
long-term appeal is deeper than it being designed in a way that is approachable to everyone. While it certainly leans pretty heavily on the side of soft design, it does have a fair bit of spiky design as well, a lot of which helps accentuate my favorite bits of the game. For instance, it does a lot of stuff that cultivates a powerful sense of place. Every object in the game is a physical thing that can be interacted with. They can be
I love that, especially as a kid. I thought it was so cool to steal things. I know that sounds like I'm a fucking kleptomaniac, but like, I don't know. It's very, very satisfying in Skyrim to walk around stealing. It's so fun. It was really, really fun. And then also like, yeah, putting a bucket on their head and yoinking the shop, always fun. Or getting caught stealing and then it was all fun. That part was great. When you like going to a shop and seeing physical items there was always cool because other RPGs didn't do that.
Picked up and moved around, which doesn't really serve much of a purpose, but the interactivity feels nice regardless. Presenting items in this way often makes it slower to collect them as they aren't just bundled up in a glowing light that you know will be worthwhile to grab. Instead, you need to sift through things, picking them up one by one, which in some cases, like when there are a dozen gold pieces on a table, can feel excessive, but it also creates an almost tactile sense to the things you're engaging with.
Oh yeah.
You have to spot what you might need and decide what's actually useful.
Yeah, Skyrim also did food really well. All the different food pieces on it made it feel really, that was cool. That's underrated, I think. All the different actual pieces of food on every table and all over the world. That's something uniquely, quirkily Skyrim that felt cool. Yeah, the wheels of cheese.
And what will just waste space in your inventory. Honestly, the encumbrance system in general pushes you to always think about the items you're carrying. I do have issues with how it's incorporated, but at the very least, it prompts some level of thoughtfulness about what you're grabbing. I think it could be argued that the game's reliance on menuing also adds to this feeling, as even with hotkeys, there are so many items
the
and
menu
abilities
sucks,
you'll
and
cycle between that you'll never cover them all. So whether it be the favorites menu or the main menu, you'll be pausing the action regularly and scrolling through everything you have, as there is no real way to sort stuff to get to the things you want to use. In theory, reminding you about all the other things you have.
I think this shit was annoying as hell, actually. I think Skyrim is a perfect game for, they should have had a magic bag with weightlessness, just to explain it away. There was way too many times you're trying to figure out how to get your fucking, going through the menu and having to fucking move things around and drop things to try and, it was kind of a pain in the ass, and it didn't feel like it added a lot to the experience. It wasn't like a game where, I don't know. It didn't like, I didn't, maybe it helped with immersion, but I don't feel like it. I feel like it was just annoying.
Have at your disposal. While these breaks in action can be annoying, they also lead to some incredible moments where you notice something far more useful in your inventory than what you were looking for that helps you overcome a challenge. Furthermore, even though the game scales to your level, there are some enemies placed around the world with set levels and others who start at a much higher level than the Dragonborn before they start scaling. This leads to some big difficulty spikes where you need to figure out how to deal with an enemy that you don't have a good chance of defeating by typical means. On this playthrough, I was given a quest from the companions to take out some vampires. And it all felt like an appropriate challenge until just before the end, where a master vampire blocked my way. As I was far under his level and had no shot of outdamaging him, I instead kited him over to a ledge, charmed him so he wouldn't be hostile, lined things up as best as I could, and then somewhat messily knocked him off. And it felt
badass.
So good to do.
That's like the favorite thing in games. That's so, I love this.
To a ledge,
There's nothing more satisfying than doing something like this. It's the peak. It's gaming peak. I get such a rush. It's like, that's why playing Teardown is so fun. You always feel like you're doing something like this every round. Just finding some way to beat it in an unintended way is so thrilling.
Harmed him so he wouldn't be hostile, lined things up as best as I could, and then somewhat messily knocked him off. And it felt so good to do. Admittedly, more often than not, these spikes will probably push players to just run away, but they can also spur creative thinking, which makes them valuable.
Yeah,
the
creative
dragon
thinking
attacks are another example of this. When they pop up, your travels become far more treacherous, and it can lead to some interesting interactions. Like when a blood dragon attacked me as I was running by a giant, and the two of them started fighting. So I stood from a distance doing what I could to to support my new giant friend. This all adds a layer of excitement to what can often be just
Yeah, it's great.
walk. Honestly, even the fact that the game doesn't have interesting movement mechanics means your focus will mostly be on just looking around, helping you get a better lay of the land and appreciate the beauty of the place you're in. I'm not saying all of these things are perfectly done. I'm not even saying that Bethesda...
I don't know if he has mods on, but the game still looks good. I'll also give that. Skyrim's a good looking game. I think it clears all the hurdles for, like, especially for the time, immersion and, you know, I think it's good. It's got a good vibe. I mean, this part right here where he's walking by, like,
will mostly be on just looking...
That's cool.
Around,
you know,
helping you get a better lay of
you
the
grab
land
the
and
fucking
appreciate
mushroom
the
off the
beauty of
thing
place
and
you're in. I'm not saying all of these things are perfectly done. I'm not even saying that Bethesda incorporated every single one of them with this exact result in mind, but I do think their friction has an effect, and for the most part that effect makes players consider the space they are in and the various things that are in it in a way a lot of games don't. Skyrim's major mechanics are soft, making it massively approachable, but many of its minor ones are spiky, creating a thorough connection between the player and the world without running the risk of them getting stuck. This, mixed with Skyrim's massive scope, creates a unique kind of immersion, one that is more concerned with the small moments than the big ones. But as there are so many small moments to be had, it all adds up to something more substantial. There are so many interactions to experience. You can explore almost any place you see. You can grab a fish from a line. You can pick up a mug from a table. You can find ants crawling on tree stumps. You can drop something on the ground and it will still be there 20 hours later. There are roaring rivers, lush forests, and northern lights that paint the night sky. Characters go about their lives regardless of if you are there and have conversations with each other about insignificant things. And every moment is accompanied by impeccable sound design and an all-timer soundtrack. Frankly, a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter in terms of what could be considered the core of the game. They aren't part of the gameplay loop, and most don't even serve a functional purpose. But they are still there, and can be encountered everywhere. Even though the combat and role-playing don't feel like they have much weight to them, the world itself does. It feels
it's a good world.
alive. And while the game does frequently show its seams and break the powerful sense of immersion it builds so well,
Definitely.
it never takes long to slip back into it by coming across something new. In the documentary, You're Finally Awake, 9 developers recount the making of Skyrim, there's a quote from Dennis Mahiones, one of the game's character artists, that I keep coming back to, which is, "It's not that we did any one thing first or any one thing better, it's that we did it all for the first time." The thing is, it's not just that they did it all for the first time, it's also that no other game has really done it all again since, at least not to the same degree. And this is the other major reason I think Skyrim continues to be so popular to this day. No other game feels like it. Sure, plenty of open world titles have incorporated ideas from Skyrim, but the vast majority of them have taken far more influence.
Raz has played many more games than me, so I trust him when he says that. Is that true? I feel like there's truth to it. BG3 is arguable. Well, BG3 is not as casual friendly. I think just the mere fact that it's so turn-based and everything makes it, and top-down makes it a little spikier. Witcher 3? Witcher 3 is probably close.
Influence from the likes of Assassin's Creed and Grand Theft Auto. Most are action-focused, have third-person perspectives, and offer far less unnecessary interactivity. This makes leaner games that are often more fun to play on a moment-to-moment basis, but they lack the slow burn that makes Skyrim Skyrim. What I've come to realize through replaying Skyrim and talking to others about it is that for a lot of people, the reason they keep coming back isn't because they want to defeat Alduin or become the head of the Thieves Guild. It's not because they care about maxing out their armor or getting the most powerful spells. It's that they just want to recapture the wonder of being part of a fantastical world that feels realized in a unique way, that isn't always concerned with every aspect adding to the gameplay. They might want to experience this for just 1 hour, or they might want to for 100, but ultimately it is less about the experience of playing through the game than it is about playing in it. For these reasons and more, Skyrim has created a loyal following. By appealing to a massive audience but delivering an experience that feels deliberate in significant ways, they hooked millions of people. And many of those people are willing to buy multiple versions of the game so that they can keep
They have
stepping
re-released
back
it so
into
many
the
times.
experience only it really offers. Many also have the desire to
Okay, but the only thing is, I feel like people do that out of a sense of nostalgia and never get it again. I feel like the core experience of replaying Skyrim is that it never lives up to what you hoped it would when you played it when you were younger. I feel like it never gives you what you're, but people still rebuy it again. Anyway, yeah, you're just chasing the dragon, literally and figuratively.
to regularly mod it in order to get a fresh experience of what they first fell in love with. Honestly, Skyrim is kind of the perfect game to be modded because it has so many systems with the potential of being far more interesting than they currently are. And Bethesda deserves a ton of credit for recognizing that their fans would want to mod the game and providing tools to help them do it more easily. Skyrim rides an interesting line of being for everyone and for no one. I can't say examining it in this way has made me fall in love with it. I do still find myself wishing it was a much better game, or at least more suited for my tastes. But also, I think there is a ton of value in it being an entry point to video games, or at least these kinds of video games, for so many people. Skyrim came out at a perfect time to reach a new audience, and Bethesda did a stellar job in grasping that audience and designing.
Y'all think Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna suck or nah? Real talk. Real talk. Do you think they're actually going to get a new engine at this point? Like, really? Is it going to be Starfield-esque? Because I'll lose it. I'll fucking lose it if they've got to at this point, bro. For Elder Scrolls 6, for the fucking sequel to Skyrim, they gotta go fucking... I think Starfield had to be a wake-up call. Yeah, it would be crazy if they tried to run the same fucking gambit again. It's just too late. It's been too long.
I need a game that wouldn't push them away while also putting in enough jagged edges to make things feel meaningful. The world is worth revisiting because in ways it feels like a real place. A place you'd be lucky to see with your own two eyes. A place that begs the question, why not Skyrim?
Bravo! Oh, what's this? He grabs a steel warhammer.
If you also hate getting over encumbered, you should check out this video sponsor, Bellroy. Bellroy makes tons of awesome products that are focused on keeping you organized and looking stylish. I use
Check
Bellroy
out
stuff
Bellroy!
all the time. The sling has become a part of my everyday carry, as well as this wallet, which somehow is able to hold.
Bro, the thing I'm most impressed by is that he got the sponsor to agree to put it at the end of a 27-minute video. Every sponsor I talk to is like, it's got to be in the first third. Got to be. That's fucking wild. Raz built different. I thought those videos were really good. I learned a lot from that. I actually didn't know about the Game of Thrones thing, and I hadn't really thought about how it marketed itself to a broader audience. Interesting. Very interesting. Dude, do not link me another Skyrim video though. do not link me another Skyrim. I clicked the first one I got and it was another fucking Skyrim video. No, we're good. We're good on Skyrim. I'm checking the website. Let's see. The Gaming Holdouts, the most secretive gaming company, Rockstar. Better Call Saul, Chuck McGill is the lesser of two evils. No, I'm not watching this. I just think that's funny. You watched Better Call Saul and said Chuck McGill is like the guy I'd take. Disney Channel's theme, A History Mystery. Earth has terrible world building. That's funny. What can we learn here? What can we learn? What's gonna wrinkle our brains, folks? How to Never Die, a documentary. How to Get a Job in Motorsport. I analyzed all the words in the Mr. Beast channel. What is this, like giveaway or money? Bungie laid off more employees than last time. Yup. This is a video about here. Let me do a full refresh. Get them all in. Get them all new refresh. The alt-right playbook, control the conversation. I'm controlling the conversation as the streamer. Does that make me all right? This is the only video we have? Wait, it's not working. Refresh. Oh my God. Maybe it doesn't count resubmissions. Oh my God. Does it not count resubs if I refresh? Did we fuck it? We broke it? I'll have to go to the old one. Use auto site. I think auto's broke. There we go. This is the one I have to fucking highlight. Twilight Princess was the game Nintendo never wanted to make. Interesting. I converted my microwave to a laser oven. Why the Olympics almost banned this shit. Why Japanese companies hate Gen Z? 7 minutes long? We have to know. Why do they hate Gen Z? Why? Let's find out.
Wars, poverty, climate change. But forget all that, because one of the more pressing issues many countries are noted to facing is of course Generation Z. And Japan is no different. So exactly what problems are the land of the rising...
Wait, you think it's because Gen Z tried to cancel Eminem and that's why Japan is mad at them? Is that what you're is that what you're suggesting? I see. That makes sense.
Son facing with their Gen Z.
今回ですけどね、20歳を過ぎて、お酒を飲めなくても人生をうまくやっていく方法ということでね。
Well, that's what we're going to explore in this video. In many aspects, the Gen Z of Japan share the same kind of characteristics as Gen Z in most parts of the world. They're digital natives, growing up in a world where the internet already existed, and during the rise of social media. Part of what this means is younger Japanese people are used to obtaining raw information about what is happening in Japan and around the world. Previous generations were, and many still, are used to gaining their information from traditional forms of media like newspapers and TV. In fact, a huge reason why traditional media is still thriving in Japan is simply because there aren't as many young people, with the average age being around 49, making...
Damn, Unc and Hoop! Look at this guy! This guy can hoop! Don't say I'm... I'm not feeling shamed because I read newspapers, bro. You guys are trying to fucking... You guys don't get the raw information from social media? No, bro, it's embarrassing.
Japan's population the oldest in the world. However, as many might have already known, traditional media is often quite selective on what is reported and tends to spin stories in a particular way depending on their audience base. What this has resulted in is a communication divide between Gen Z and previous generations on a range of topics. However, we are seeing a rise in more older Japanese internet users within more recent years. But let's get to the main issue, which is typically brought up when talking about Gen Z. work. Japanese society is heavily centered around working, and nothing beats social credit like being a full-time employee, aka say shine, in a top company. Japanese company practices also typically require a level of commitment that goes beyond the job description, and being active in trying to get your boss to like you so you can climb the corporate ladder, which is also assumed to be something you want to do. Something else I don't usually hear about within other videos that discuss Japanese working culture is the view older generations take that company members are like...
I mean, is that... I'm assuming he's saying they don't buy into that. Is that really not a normal response to a lost 2 decades of the economy, insane overwork, like low growth? Isn't that like what you'd expect young people to do? Is like fucking rebel against that?
Like family, where you'd be given a role like being the big brother or sister. This is actually used as a method to stop new grads from suddenly quitting, by letting their senior, aka senpai, be someone they can go easily talk to. But we'll talk about the quitting issue in just a bit. Overall, the expectation for Japanese companies is that you'll stay within that company for life, being moved into different departments at the company's convenience. However, many of the Gen Z in Japan are seeing work differently, seeing it as just a place to work. I know, shocking. This has led to complaints from superiors that they aren't able to communicate and bond anymore with those below them, as many younger workers aren't as keen on chit-chatting and also refuse to go out drinking with their boss after work, preferring to prioritize their private time. Not only that, a big complaint about Gen Z when it comes to communication within the workplace is that they're too sensitive. Reasoning for this is the notable increase in the types of haras there are. Hara meaning harassment. The most common type of hara you are bound to hear about is sekuhara, which stands for sexual harassment.
Yeah, this sounds like it sounds like the Gen Z are well on the right path. I think Japan notoriously has a culture of terrible sexual harassment. The fact that they're trying to change that is like, it's not, oh, these fucking kids don't get it.
But now, different haras are constantly popping up, and many attribute this to Gen Z. For example, yumehara, yume meaning dream. Now, some of you might be scratching your heads wondering, what kind of harassment exactly is that? Essentially, this is when your boss or senpai asks you about your dreams, as in what you aspire to do. Some preferring to just not talk about their dreams, or just not having any dreams in the first place, feeling that...
Well, that's not harassment. I don't know how common that is, but that's not harassment. Someone asking you what your aspirations are is not harassment. No, it's not. That's not harassment. You hate it, though? I do. The only time it felt like, again, if you're at your work and your boss is asking you that, it pretty much means they're caring about your future. That's a good sign. What was annoying was, I remember like when I was about to graduate ASU, and I had just given up being a League of Legends professional. And I was trying to figure my life out. And people ask me like, what are you going to do after you graduate? What's your plans? I hated that shit. I don't know, Grandma. I don't fucking know. Stop asking me. That was so annoying. That was every single time. But that's not harassment still. It's just fucking annoying. That's Dreamhara? Yeah, well... I don't think that's... But if your boss is asking that means you already have a job. And your boss is mostly asking, like, if you have, I don't know, ambition. Probably, like, scouting you out to move up in the company.
That they were just put on the spot. What also counts as yumehara is when those superiors talk about their dreams. Basically because the younger workers don't really care. There is also another trait about Gen Z that is...
Okay, that's also not harassment. Someone older than you telling you about their ambitions or dreams is not harassment. That's just... Don't care, unk. Didn't ask unk. Okay, that's crazy. That's crazy, all right? Those are certainly not on the level of sexual harassment. That's
something we often hear about in the news. they easily quit. Yes, as I mentioned before, quitting is probably the biggest issue many companies are facing with Gen Z. Forget about staying for life, some quit within a year. What's also interesting is that some will choose not to say they quit themselves, but will use an agency that is specialized in quitting.
Dude, I saw this. This is fucking crazy. They're so afraid of quitting in Japan, they'll hire someone to quit for them, which is fucking crazy. I think quitting is fine. I mean, quitting, assuming you can find a different job, is like one of the best ways they can. Like, I think wages are rising for a lot of reasons in Japan, but this is one of the reasons. Like, they're naturally responding to the fact that they can get better wages by not working at one company for 40 years. However, the fact that they can't do it themselves is very funny.
On behalf of their clients. Yes, you heard that right. Some reasons for this though are actually pretty understandable. You see, some bosses here simply don't say okay when you say you're going to quit. This is particularly in the case of clients who work at a black company. Some bosses will actually try to stop their employees from quitting, becoming really aggressive or even threatening them with some financial liability. Interestingly though,
That's
it
terrible.
actually isn't new grads that make up the bulk of users for this service. One agency even revealed it was less than 20%, but that the number was rising. Now, reasons why new grads are quitting vary from things like finding out the company wasn't like what they were told during the interview to simply not getting along with their coworkers.
I might have mentioned this before, but one of the best pieces of advice I heard from my boss at NVIDIA was when I'm interviewing people, like we're hiring people for NVIDIA for a certain job, you're going to be tempted to oversell the job, especially if you like the candidate. If you want this candidate, you're going to be tempted to tell them all the great parts and hide the bad parts. Don't do that, because that is the number one way for them to hate the job when they start. If you're really honest about the good and bad parts of a job during an interview, then when those bad parts come up, they are 10 times more likely to respond okay. They'll be fine with it because they knew about it going in. It was really good advice, because I think it's counterintuitive. You want to like downplay the bad stuff, but actually you don't want to market when it comes to a job. You really want to be honest, because it actually works. Like if you know something's bad, but you agree to sign up anyway, then when that bad thing happens, you're cool with it. I think human beings are able to get over it if they just know it's coming. If you know like it's going to be really rough around launches, you know, we're going to work hard hours around launch, whatever. You tell them the truth, then they're like, okay, I know that going in. Yeah, being blindsided is what pisses people off.
But there is another trend, fear for the future. To be honest, this isn't just Gen Z, but many of the younger generation are concerned that they aren't
all over the
obtaining
world.
skills they need for future progress, or see their superiors are not getting pay increases, but are just doing double the amount of work. A lot of Japanese companies have put in effort to improve their work environments, from trying to decrease overtime to changing how superiors talk with subordinates, but even with great working conditions, if younger workers don't feel challenged, they'll look elsewhere. This is certainly a big change from older generations, but essentially
You know what's interesting is like the relative power young workers are going to have, especially in Japan. It's going to be astronomical, because as they are so scarce and as society gets older, their ability to demand wage increases, jobs, opportunity, it's going to be relatively, it's like whenever it's funny, but like after the Black Death wiped out all the peasants, the remaining peasants made insane gains. It was like the only time we've ever fucking reduced the power level between peasants and lords was because there was so few peasants that like they had insane amount of, they were so in demand. It's just funny, like the idea of having relatively few working age people it's not good for the society, but it's going to be funny how much relative power they're going to have.
Boils down to Gen Z wanting a good work environment where they also feel that their future is secure. The power balance has started to shift in Japan. It's no longer about what the employees can do for the company, but what the company can do for.
So you're saying we should make COVID worse? Yeah, that was my thesis. Yeah, that's the takeaway. My takeaway is that we should have a really, really bad second disease that wipes out more people. The problem is that I think the Black Death thing worked because the economy was based around farming and you needed peasants to work the land. And that was like where all the wealth came from. And so, you know, their bargaining power was way, way, way up because the lords ain't going to work the fucking land. But nowadays, I feel like all the wealth is in, I don't know, assets and and digital goods. It's so different, you know. You can have one person do the work of 1,000 farming with machines. So I'm not sure it would work the same.
For the employee. Japanese companies that can't comply with those needs are going to continue to lose early stage workers. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this video. As someone who has worked in a number of Japanese companies with a lot of the younger generation, with a lot of Gen Z, honestly speaking, I can see their drive, I can see their passion, I can see that they actually do want to work, but they also want to improve their skills. They are scared. They are worried about what is going to happen to them. Economically speaking, Japan is not in the best of places, and they know it. All of the Gen Z know it, and they are expecting things from companies now. They want to see that those companies are going to provide for their futures. So yeah, Japanese companies are just going to have to step up. That's basically the deal. Anyway, thank you again for watching this video. Please leave your thoughts, your comments in the comment section below, and yeah, I'll be back with another video.
Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. I think that's, I mean, there were some unique Japan things there, but I think that's pretty true globally, is that general feeling. Bro was speaking it was a 6-minute video. He wasn't speaking Japanese. He wasn't speaking Japanese, bro. Games that don't fake the space. Challenge matters. We're getting some gaming ones today, which I don't mind. I think they're interesting. How Dropout went from college humor to media powerhouse. That could be interesting. I mean, I do think Dropout is such a cool success story. That could be something. Fallout. What if Barry Bonds play without a baseball bat? Well, I forgot the point of this video, but like his stats were so good that he would be top ranked if he never hit the ball or something crazy like that. I remember we've seen this. It was really good, but I don't remember exactly. Oh, he got walked so many times. Yeah, that's wild. The consequences of reducing the skill gap. Interesting. Interesting. I could watch that. Core A gaming's pretty good generally, right? Why Deadpool's marketing is pure genius. Okay, I got to tell you something. I follow a lot of marketing, you know, content. News websites, people on Twitter, social media, YouTube videos, and the constant glazing of Ryan Reynolds in marketing adjacent forums is crazy. It's nonstop. It's nonstop. Wait, that pendulum is swinging back. He's just a likable guy. They can't fan it. Yeah, he's a likable guy. Don't get me wrong. I got no problem with Ryan Reynolds, but they talk about him like he's changed marketing forever, and it's just he's a likable celebrity that promotes things, you know, without being totally fucking stilted. But again, most of the things he promotes, you only remember the fact that he was in it and it was funny. You don't even remember the product. It's It's like they're ads for himself. He is the product. I know, but he's getting companies to pay him to promote himself. The takeaway from all of it is that I like Ryan Reynolds. The takeaway is never like, oh, I want to buy the Samsung TV that he promoted, or what. That's so he is good. Yeah, he's good for it. But what I'm saying is, people think of it like he's really, really helping these companies that are paying him, and I think that he's not. I think the only ones he's helping are the ones he personally owns. I remember Mint. He owns that one. He owns Mint. It's not like, didn't he sell it? Yeah, he ran it up with the ads. Then he sold it at the peak. It was a fucking brilliant play. Does he own a? So he's a marketing genius for himself. I guess what I'm saying is, he is obviously tapped into something that is very powerful to make himself personally wealthy. But I don't think that he's found anything unique to sell something that is not, like, any more than any other celebrity, to sell something that's not authentic. So when he owns a company, he can promote it authentically. But, like, for example, Samsung paid him a lot of money, and I don't think it helped at all. I think he did a bunch of ads that made him look funny. I don't think anyone recalls the Samsung or any of the other companies that hired him outside of, you know what I'm saying? I guess, isn't it better than every celebrity who people don't care about? No, I think it's the same. What I'm saying, it's the same. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's any different. Whether Samsung hires Ryan Reynolds or they hire fucking Jack Black or they hire any likable celebrity, it's no different. He has no unique advantage in that space. It's only whenever he's promoting something himself. Skill cap vid? Or the truth about the GOAT debate in tennis. Isn't the GOAT... isn't the truth about tennis that everyone likes Federer, so they want him to be the GOAT, but then Djokovic is better and probably should be the GOAT, but nobody wants to give him the GOAT? Isn't that the fucking... Because I love Federer. I'll call him the GOAT, but my understanding is that's the case. Is like, it's like Mango and Armada. No, because Armada's not the GOAT, bro. Either way. I'm falling into it. No, Armada's not the GOAT either way. Does it? Whether Mango is both Federer and Djokovic in this situation. Did you forget? Yeah, Otto, I did forget it. I don't know your fucking website. I tried to find it, I couldn't. I scrolled back in our convo, and also I think it's broken. You DM'd me. I'll try it right now. Let's see, Otto. No, because like, not to get too into it, but Armada is not, like, Federer was the GOAT, and then Djokovic came after him and exceeded his records and beat him. That's not what happened with Armada. Armada retired early. Mango kept going and then did even more. Armada was great before Armada. I'm sorry, Mango was great before Armada. Lasted all through Armada's career, including beating him in many great finals, and then kept going after. That's GOAT status. Armada would get dusted in today's meta. Absolutely. Absolutely he would. What about HBox? Yeah, HBox is really good. He's probably top 3. Yeah, he's behind Armada and Mango. What do you want me to say? Mango gets dusted in today's meta. Mango just won, tipped off. Like the biggest, most stacked tournament in 5 years. He just won. What are you talking about? Every top player was there. That's so bait. He's watching it. Every time he wins a tournament, people call him washed the next day. I actually feel for Mango as like I don't know, controversial as he can be or off-putting some kind of people. It's crazy that he's proven it so many times. He started playing in 2009, bro. He won his first tournament in 2009. And he won in 2024, and you're still like he has to prove it. He won a tournament before Skyrim came out, and now we're watching Skyrim retrospective videos fucking 20 years later, and he's still winning. That's crazy. That is you have to give credit. That's if you don't give credit to that, it's unreal. It's unreal. It's like you have to. That's so it's so rare. Mango or Faker? No, Faker's my GOAT. Because League of Legends is harder to get 4 championships in than Melee doesn't have as many players. Mango's the GOAT of Melee, and I love Melee. And that's a fact. But what Faker did is so hard because there's so much money. Do you understand? Like in Melee, you could become the greatest player of all time, and then you go to a tournament, beat all the top players in the world, and they give you $800. Like, you could have worked all those hours at a minimum wage job and made more money. There's literally no money in Melee. It's just not. You could only make the money from being a personality, which Mango has done with a stream. But Faker, he faced competitors who had a real financial incentive. The money in League of Legends is huge, and being a top team and taking down Faker literally makes your career. Like everyone was hungry to do it, and to do it as many times as he did is crazy. But can Mango headbutt a wall? I guess you're right about that. Just puts LeBron into perspective. I mean, yeah, I finally kind of get it. You know, watching this Olympics and just being more into basketball and just knowing how hard it is, and it really is crazy what LeBron is 39, bro. It's just hitting me. It's really hitting me now that he's my GOAT. I think Michael Jordan's also incredible. It's impossible to truly compare, but it's crazy. He's so good for how old he is. He's so good. MJ is Armada and LeBron is Mango. That's a closer comparison. You know, a shorter but burst career of pure gold versus the longevity. There's something to that. But I don't think it's not really the same because it's like if LeBron started before Michael Jordan, played through all of Michael's career and did well and beat Michael in many finals, and then kept going and then had his own full career afterwards. The Mango gap is too big on Armada. LeBron being a better person IRL, does that impact it? I don't know, man. I mean, it is crazy that LeBron has been playing since 2002, 2003. and has been world famous since he was fucking 18 years old and hasn't had a scandal, hasn't had any like major controversy, in a committed relationship with his long-term wife, all through 39. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm bro says every single day. I actually don't. I've said it one time before, but because you watch the fucking clip channel, you've decided it's every single day. You piece of shit. He put it in one clip, and now you're like, oh, I've got him. He does lie weirdly, though. He does. I mean, he's still... I mean, he's still a goof. He's still weird. He still fakes reading books and lies weirdly. I'm not, but that's so minor. You know what I'm saying? That's so tiny. That's like human insecurity, which is even it's kind of funny and relatable because he's been so rich. He's a billionaire who's world famous and still excellent, and still feels the need to lie about the books he's reading. It makes him more human. It's like, it's funny. My GOAT player plays hungover and goes gambling benders before big games. Like I said, I consider LeBron the GOAT until I watch another Michael Jordan documentary, and then I'll switch. I will absolutely switch, because when you watch the documentary, when you watch The Last Dance, you come out of it thinking, damn, Michael Jordan fucking rules. That's crazy. All right? I'm easily swayed by fucking footage cut in the right way. But I'm just impressed. I just think it's impressive. It's just, someone was saying, I think Gordon Hayward retired, had a good NBA career, retired at 34 as a broken, old, injury-prone old man. Isn't that crazy? And like 5 more years and he'd be LeBron's age, and LeBron is currently a top 5 player. Top 10 maybe, but like a top player, and like on the Olympic team, the fucking the GOAT of the Olympic team, carrying. It's just wild. I guess I'm calling out your comment because it's funny. Like, this is only so recent for me. If anything, I've always been kind of like a LeBron hater. Like, this is only this Olympics I have decided, you know what? Fuck it. LeBron has done something that's really hard. Really, 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 really incredibly, insanely hard. The USA team is on a hotel 100 meters from my coffee shop. You're in France? It's crazy how many Americans come talking about how they still love basketball due to LeBron. It's funny. I know the NBA is spooked, dude. I know that the NBA is so... That's why they're fucking pushing Anthony Edwards so hard. They're so spooked that once Steph and LeBron retire, it's like, they're about to run out of stars, bro. They've been pushing these same people for 20 years. They're really pushing Ant. They need Steph, LeBron, KD. This is so crazy. I'm sorry, we're getting too basketball pilled. I agree that Wemby is like unreal. He's, you watch Wemby highlights and it's like, it's such a fucking NBA 2K make a player ridiculous. But the guy's, it's so early. He's gonna be the GOAT. That's crazy. That's just so he has done nothing to And you're not even factoring the fact that when I enter the league, how is Wemby going to match up with my speed? Do you know what I'm saying? Wemby's got the height on me, sure, but does he have my speed, my basketball IQ? No. And he's not even ready for me. I'm going to enter the league like a fucking tornado. I'm going to be in like a firestorm. It's going to shake up the whole fucking the white LeBron. I'm sneaky athletic. Yeah. We've seen your jump shot. Have you? I feel like I've only done free throws. Does he have your lunchbox attitude? Yeah, I don't think so. Wemby versus 5'8" Japanese dudes. Yeah, I saw the pictures. They were fucking wild. Atrioc is a real workhorse, a first in, last out kind of player. I think you guys are trying to make some kind of comparison that just because I'm white, that'll impact my basketball ability. But what we don't know is that I'm Latino, and that I'm gonna fucking shake the whole league up. He's a real work cow. He can't handle your first person in the gym, last one to leave, positive attitude. The thing is, I might do the first thing, but I wouldn't have a positive. In my brief experience with esports, on League of Legends teams, I did not have a positive attitude. You can ask Stans. I'm actually sometimes a good teammate because I'll put the work in. I'll absolutely put the work in. I'll put the practice in. I won't miss practice days. I'll always grind when anyone wants to practice. But in terms of positive attitude, I was a bit snippy. I would get mad when people didn't practice enough. And if I was, here's what I would do is, I used to get like angry in games when we'd start losing, but then I realized that's really bad. So what I would do instead is go dead silent, which is also bad. Like we'd be in competitive matches, and if the lane started losing, I would just not talk again. And it's like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to do. I would just ping. I think that's fucking crazy. I think that's so bad. I'm quiet quitting. Yeah, I was quiet quitting. Childish behavior? Yeah, it was. I don't think I had mentally prepared myself for the mental game of esports. I think Kobe or Jimmy Butler did this. They like shun their team. Well, I know that Jimmy Butler, didn't he like famously come into practice with the Heat and they did a scrim and he took all of the amateur guys and then beat the main squad and said, "You fucking need me." Was it the Wolves? Who did? I thought it was Jimmy Butler was with the Wolves. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That was fucking, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And then my favorite Kobe Bryant story is that so Shaq was actually a moderately successful rapper. I don't know if you guys know this. While he was a famous basketball player, Shaq had a rap album. Shaq did everything. Shaq DJ'd. Shaq did movies. Shaq was like trying to be famous at the same time as he was also dominant at professional basketball. And on the team bus, when they would go between games, they would sometimes be rapping. Like the players would be rapping on the bus between basketball games. And this is, I think, Shaq telling the story. They asked Kobe to join in one time, and he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then they found out later that between that time and the next bus ride, he like practiced rap. He got a notebook and like pre-wrote his freestyles and practiced them so that he could bring it, so that he could join in on the raps on the bus and be the best. That's so funny. That's so Mamba mentality. That's such a... No, it's only cool because it's Kobe, but obviously, like, it's also really cringe, right? It's also some kind of insecurity. But it's fun. I just relate to that. It's really funny. I think I did it in the more cringe way. The guy who owns a burger place on my account played against 10-year-old Kobe at time. That's crazy. Me when my 5-year-old niece beats me at a board game. Spit something for us, Atrioc? Don't worry, I practiced for this. I have bars already pre-written. Atrioc training at Splendor. Yeah, I'm just saying I did a similar thing. Like I did the thing where there was a guy at Twitch office who was really good at the board game Splendor, and everyone thought it was cool because we all played Splendor. And so I secretly, after losing to him once, I secretly downloaded the Splendor game on Steam, and I practiced it every single day for hours. And I read all the Splendor strategy and like went to the forums and asked questions, and I would play it every single day. And then I casually brought it up to play against him again. I casually like, hey, we should play Splendor again. And then I beat his ass 2-0. And then that guy went on to work at fucking, what's the Adobe competitor? Figma, and made a ton of money. So last laugh. That guy went on to be like an early stage engineer at Figma. Made a fucking... Oh wait, I can beat him. I'll just text him Figma balls. Thank you so much for that brilliant insight. Are you the same guy as earlier? I think you're leaning into it. Am I catching you right now? I think you're leaning into the fact that like, oh, I'm just repeating what I saw on stream. But I think last time you did it on purpose. Or not on purpose. I think I caught you last time, and now you're doing it a bunch of times to try and make it like, oh, that's my thing. I always repeat what you said just right after it happened. But I'm going to scroll up. Are you the guy that did the fucking... I'm scrolling up. Fuck, you chatted so much that I can't find out. Maybe you're not. I can't. It keeps resetting when you type something, so I'm gonna assume you're not because I keep scrolling and it's just. You said caught though, so maybe you are. The annoying thing about, dude, I don't know why Twitch doesn't fix that. If you're looking at someone's chat history and scrolling up and they type something, it always snaps back to bottom, which is so annoying because that means if someone's a fucking spammer, you have to ban them to read their chat history. You're trapped in their genjutsu. No, I'm not. Speak normal. No, it's just a... No, it's a bug with Twitch's thing. I'm not trapped in their genjutsu. You didn't know me. Thoughts on the Bungie layoff? Bad. What do you want me to say? I think it's great when people who put their passion and time into a game that's successful get laid off. That's what I love. I love people who put their their time, effort, and fucking livelihood at the stakes to help someone else make money get laid off without notice by finding out on social media. I think that's so cool. And then their CEO goes on a luxury car shopping spree. That's also sick. I love that. Yeah, the Bungie CEO did layoffs and then a $2.4 million classic car shopping spree. This is 100% real. It's fucking wild. It's a wild, wild, wild thing to do. It's a reward for saving money. Yeah, I guess he really earned it. He did the hard thing. Our motto on the engineer team is anything for the shareholders. They're what matters most after all. That's so beautiful. That's really powerful. Can we get a clap for that? That's heroic. What was an example of layoffs that were good to do? I mean, look, whenever you have mass layoffs, sometimes it's necessary. You just have to. But the reason it's always distasteful is because it's a sign of gross mismanagement in general. It means management severely made a mistake with massive overhiring, or they've set the company in the wrong direction in the wrong way, so that it's like, oh shit, we fucked up, and then now people at the bottom have to bear the brunt, right? So it always sucks. It always sucks. But there are companies that have done layoffs with like long severance. You know, I think Google had like incredibly generous layoffs. I think Riot did a downsizing with like really generous layoffs. But like regardless, it's like layoffs is basically a sign that said, hey, we told you to come to take this job, and then now it's something that's not your fault, we're gonna fire you. It's always a slap in the face. It's always a slap in the face to be like, hey, you hired me, you promised me a certain thing, and now because of something that's an executive's fault, you have to get fired. You lose your livelihood. It's never easy to make that good, but what about when the bully is being really mean that day, but then the handsome popular kid stands up for me and says, hey man, lay off him, and lets me borrow his Letterman jacket because it's raining? Those are good layoffs. You know what? You've proved me wrong. Those are actually great layoffs. I didn't factor that in. Isn't layoffs on the companies cooked? Has there ever been a company that had layoff employees that didn't implode down the line? No, there's millions. There's tons. No, many companies have done. I mean, Meta had insane layoffs because they fucked up with their incredibly stupid VR investment. And they said, okay, we've gone too far. Mass layoffs, pivot to AI, and now they're fucking back. I mean, their stock went way up. It happens. It's not... What do you think of the Intel layoffs? There's a video on the Clips channel, my friend. We just talked about it. If you own shares and get fired, is the company acting against shareholder interests? No. No. Unfortunately, no. They're not, because unless you own all of the shares or you own a majority of the shares, in which case you could veto this. Is the Big A channel yours? Yeah, I hired Adish. He's done a great job. Has Kamala announced a running mate yet? No, but it's really soon. Really soon, I think. The idea is like, could it even be within the week? Is my understanding, a few days? I think they're really close. It's going to be JD Vance. Be such a sick pivot. Can you make a big A company so we can buy some stock? Sub. Vegan Cola, you sub. You're invested. I'll give you. I'll print up a share. Harris Trump 2024. I'm calling it. Be so based. It's just what America needs, is for them to put their differences aside, shake hands, and work together. It should be Harris Trump versus Trump Harris. And then you have to vote. And either way, you get both. The unity ticket. It should be Trump Harris or Harris Trump versus Joe Biden. He comes back and runs on his own independent platform. Trump Harris versus Joe Biden, JD Vance. Dude, we should just keep getting crazy election pivots. Every 10 days, the election should change randomly. It should be, yeah, it should be like wrestling. Joe Biden should show up out of nowhere with a fucking metal chair from the rafters. We should find out that it was JD Vance that shot the bullet at Trump. We need to have like new fucking twists every fucking week, dude. It needs to be to keep us interested. It's crazy that there was an assassination attempt on a presidential candidate and it was news for 3 days. Americans need more twists to keep the storyline exciting. We're already getting bored, bro. It would be crazy if JD Vance was born in Kenya. Dude, they should uncover the fucking birth certificate, and if we find out this entire time that Joe Biden was born in Kenya. Barack Obama, 100% American citizen. Joe Biden, never, 100% Kenyan citizen, never naturalized American, only came here to be VP, and then the president. That would be a fucking twist. Trump is 100% Mexican. We find out Trump is 100% Mexican, and when he said we're going to build the wall and make Mexico pay for it, he was talking about himself. He was going to personally fund it, and then reveal at the end that he in fact is a 100% Mexican citizen. El Donaldo. Now that would be a twist. That would be a fucking twist. And then he deports himself. His last act. He finishes the wall, puts the last brick in it, and then deports himself. Holy. That would be a fucking twist. If JD Vance leaned into the joke with an OnlyFans, do you think it would help or hurt? Are you asking me if vice presidential candidate JD Vance created a couch fucking OnlyFans, would that help or hurt his candidacy? I think it would help. I think that would help big. That's crazy. If that's a sincere question, that's crazy. JD Vance starts posting couch fucking memes. I got an OnlyFans. Some real Vance on Ottoman action. Only Vance. Is this general life advice? Can I use this strap for job hunting? Start a couch fucking OnlyFans? Yeah, that works. That'll work. Recruiters love to know you can market yourself. Recruiters love to know you can market yourself. Listen, happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics. Tell me that guy's not Latino. Tell me Donald Trump is not 100% Mexican. I mean, look at that taco bowl. Dude, it's so funny to just end it with I love Hispanics, thumbs up. I'm eating a taco bowl in Trump Tower Grill. That's how you know I love Hispanics. That's a hoot. How did you celebrate Cinco de Mayo? What did I do? I had a taco bowl at Trump Tower, as all true Latinos do. Ari and her family, I took them out. I took them to Trump Tower. We flew, we flew to Mexico. I'm sorry, sorry, I can't think of it. It's Little Mexico, but it's really New York. And then I had a taco bowl. Actually, speaking of tacos, I'm hungry as shit, and it's 11 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Get Smarter Saturday today. It was a blast. I am going to go eat a taco. That's my plan. I'm going to go eat tacos and go to bed. Sevens, thanks for watching. It was fun. Interesting videos for sure. And I will not be live tomorrow, likely, because I'm going to be working on Marketing Monday. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday. So goodbye. Goodbye. We'll rate a Spectacore. Fine, I'll rate him. Unless Donald Trump is streaming, then I'll rate him. Actually, what? Yeah, we'll rate a Spectacore. It's fine. We'll rate him. Wait, I'm sorry. Moon Moon is live, and his title is Lap 2?
The inventory.
He's doing it again?
Large. Yeah.
Okay, that's just silly. That's just silly. Why? Of course you can do it again. You just did it. Okay. All right, have fun. Bye, good night. Actually, maybe I'll play one TFT with Spectacore. Wait, I'm going to rate a Spectacore and see if he wants to play in a call. I'm going to find out right now.